2015 Blancpain GT Series got underway, hit the road in Nogaro, southwest France on Easter weekend. 9 different manufacturers coming to the circuit Paul Armagnac to see who will come out on top. Nogaro, southwest France. But with the Bullring, what better place to bring the cars, the gladiatorial machines that will fight out the honours this year, 2015, the Blancpain GT Series. Now, let's introduce the runners and riders for 2015, starting with BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil, the 77 BMW Z4 shared by Maxime Martin and Dirk Müller. 77 and 0 out racing for the team in the national colours of Brazil, yellow, green and blue, and how fitting it is that the Brazilian duo that share the sister car, number 0, Rodrigo Sparaffico, and his identical twin brother, Ricardo.
We feel very comfortable and the team like our job, know what we did. So we are happy, me and my brother, to make part of this team, our Brazilian team, the mechanics and everything, and we like the championship, so it's good to be back.
Last year's champions, Belgian Audi Club Team WRT, back with 4 cars. Christopher Mies sharing number 2 with Enzo Eid. And a new face in the number 1 R8 is Robin Friens, Caterham Formula 1 reserve driver, and he's come in board this year to join Laurens Vanthoor.
So yeah, we're back again for another year, and I really hope we can confirm those titles and continue by raising our game and showing that we are still on top of our game, and hopefully we can be strong and fight for the championship. That's the main thing. In the end, it's a lot of things have to fit together to be able to win a championship. So I hope that's the goal anyway. Why we're here.
The number 3 entry from Team WRT is all Monegasque, with a hugely experienced Le Mans winner Stéphane Ortelli being joined by Stéphane Richelmy, another driver across from single-seaters. And the 4th car in the team shared by James Nash, with hugely experienced German Frank Stippler. With 8 top drivers sharing their 4 cars, you feel there's going to be plenty of inter-team rivalry at Team WRT in 2015. Team WRT not the only Audi team, because Phoenix Racing brought along their car for Nicky Melnov, and ultra experienced and very feisty racer Marcus Winkelhock in the number 6 entry. Reiter Engineering return in 2015 with one of the Lamborghini Gallardo LP 560s for Dutch racer Nick Katzberg, and for German aristocrat Albert von Thurn and Taxis, trying to take the battle to the Audis and the BMWs.
Lamborghini's going really well. We've got a couple of issues with the grip level, got some pickup problems at the moment, but I'm quite confident that we'll have that figured out till tomorrow.
Attempto Racing are joining the Blancpain Sprint Series with 2 of the new McLaren 650Ss for Yoshiharu Nori and Philippe Vlasic, who'll be running in the Pro-Am Cup, and then the hugely experienced McLaren favoured duo of Rob Bell, who'll be sharing the car with Kevin Estre.
I think the McLaren is going pretty well. McLaren seems to like this track. It was every time fast, so we'll see now with the 650, but I think we have a good chance. We have a great team and a good driver lineup, so let's see, but I think I'm pretty confident.
There's more chassis variety, with the GT Russian team bringing a pair of the Mercedes SLS AMGs for Alexei Vasiliev, who will be sharing with former Le Mans winner Christophe Bouchou in the number 71 SLS AMG. The sister car will be driven by Russian racer Alexei Karachev, and his co-driver is none other than Mercedes GT Racing superstar Bernd Schneider.
I think will be a tough weekend for us. The circuit doesn't suit very good to the SLS, but we will give our best and we're pushing hard. Hopefully we find the right setup. So far we are a bit struggling with that as well, and then we will see how the race will go.
MRS GT Racing are bringing one of the mighty GTR Nismos to the show for Craig Dolby, a convert from single-seater racing, and he'll be sharing this year with Sean Walkinshaw, son of Tom.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing weekend. We haven't done very much testing, but all the testing that we've done so far has been really, really good. We've made good progress every time we've been out in the car, and so far after first practice, it's going quite well, and it should be a positive weekend.
ISR Racing bring a pair of R8s this year for the Fjordbach brothers, Thomas and Anders, in car number 74. The sister car, number 75, will be driven this year by the pairing of Philippe Salacada and Marco Bononomi. Seem to have good chemistry already. So here's another strong lineup who can perhaps take the battle to Team WRT in the battle to be top for Audi. There's been a big change at HTP Motorsport for this year, and they've changed from running Mercedes to Bentley Continentals with a young lineup of Olivier Lombard and Jules Simkowiak in one of their cars, and the sister car driven by young French racer Vincent Abril, who is paired with German star Maxi Buch, so strong in a Mercedes last year.
I think this year should be quite fine for us because we have a good base, we have a good balance in the car. We were testing quite a lot, so we have a good experience with the car, and I think it should be an interesting season. I think we can compete with all of the other cars on every track, so it should be fine.
The lone Ferrari in the Sprint Series this year is entered by Rinaldi Racing, with Marco Seifried bringing great experience along with teammate Norbert Siedler in the green 333.
It's nice to be part of the championship, and together with Ferrari, Rinaldi Racing and Marco, I think we can do a good job for all the season, and I think at the end we are in the top 3 of the championship.
It's good to see Porsche here this year with Fach Autotech, with Porsche approved driver Martin Ragginger, no stranger to the 911, who's sharing this year with Marcel Wagner.
We decided to attend with the Porsche in the GT series and hope we are able to win the Pro-Am category. And well, let's see. We will do our best.
So the sun is shining at the Circuit Paul Armagnac for the opening round here at Nogaro of the 2015 Blancpain Sprint Series. Looking great, John.
Yes, I have to say, Easter Sunday here in Nogaro is a beautiful day. As we see the tail of the grid, this is exit of turn 14. And as usual, Easter Sunday here, the crowds are piling in.
Crowd piling in, the wind is blowing in their faces if they're looking down from on top of the grandstand above the pits. You can see the flags from the front shot. It's a busy, windy day, but I think we're in for a cracker of a qualifying race.
Well, I think we've got a very interesting grid because, well, unsurprisingly, let's say that we've got an Audi in pole position, but not necessarily the Audi we anticipated. That's a little bit of a story for later on. But the car driver pairing, I think, is going to be the one that's going to be really the car to watch throughout the races. Maxime Martin and Dirk Moller in the BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil car on the front row, alongside only hundreds of seconds between first and second on the grid.
Yeah, we came into this meeting expecting that Audi would continue its very strong form with the Belgian Audi Club Team WRT. You did tip, John, bless you, the BMW Sports Trophy Brazil entry. You did pick Maxime Martin and Dirk Muller, but their sister car, number 0, has been put to the back of the grid. It qualified 13th in time qualifying this morning. That's been moved to the back, but that could add to the excitement of the racing. But tell us why one of the cars is missing, number 1.
Well, the car that really everybody expected to be on pole, probably win the race, Laurens van Voor and Robin Freins, number 1 Audi WRT. In this morning's warm-up, Robin Freins came out of turn 14. The back end of the car got away. He had a long looping spin, and he sort of tank slapped the barriers, which led to the left front suspension mounting point on the chassis being punctured. That chassis is now never going to be used again. What is sad about all this is the chassis that had this accident this morning was the very same chassis that won Spa 24 hours last year, and the team are heartbroken about it. But it's on its way back to Belgium. It'll be back there on Tuesday, and they'll be at Monza next weekend.
Well, just looking down the grid, there's the second row, a Bentley and an Audi. Third row, we've got Craig Dolby, Sean Walkinshaw, Marcus Finkelhock and Nicky Meyer-Manhoff. Then more Audis, plenty of Audis in the field. Eden Mies, and then Simkowiak, young Simkowiak from F3 in the second Bentley. Porsches with Raginger and Wagner. Nicky Katzberg bringing up the end of the top 10 in the Lamborghini. So 9 different makes of car here this weekend.
Yes, I mean, the one difference we've seen over the weekend is today, right now, as we're just coming up to 2:10 in the afternoon, it is much warmer, albeit with a breeze blowing, but the sun's out in the sky. We've got a blue sky, track temperature going to rise. That's going to help a lot of drivers who struggled this morning in that warm-up when it was much, much colder.
Now here we go through the final sequence of corners. Turn 13 turns to turn 14. There is a start-finish straight for the opening race of the season. The red lights are on the gantry. Who's going to lead down into turn 1? The dust is kicked up, and the Audi takes the lead from pole position. Very tight in behind, but it looks as though the BMW will stay in second position, challenged around the outside by the second of the Audis, and Frank Stippler. But what a spin there for a lot of contact down at turn 1 into turn 2. Up the Bentley 84 that started with Maxi Boot from third position had a look to go in second place. The sister car for Jules Simkowiak is parked, beached in the gravel. I expect we'll see the safety car coming out. The driver who didn't get it wrong at the start was Stefan Artelli. He took the lead, wasn't quite challenged by those behind who were fighting, and we had 5 or 6 cars going round. 77 in second place with Dirk Muller on the back straight, and then it should be number 4, Frank Stippler, chasing down in third. Down to the end of the back straight, and we have more spinners. That's the Phoenix Audi. So absolutely action-packed. That was down in the first couple of corners, so that's just recovering. But what you do need to know is Stefan Ortelli is leading for Audi, Dirk Muller chasing hard for BMW. A lot of bodywork damage for the lead McLaren, not as it should be. That's the number 55 entry driven by Kevin Estre. That's Craig Dolby in from, well, he was about 5th or 6th, but he was one of many cars caught up on that opening lap. Fracas down as turn 1 fed to turn 2.
Let's have a look and see at the start again.
Well, it all is clear for the pole sitter. It looks fairly good for the yellow BMW behind. Car 77, all fine so far. A couple of Audis challenging. We've got through turn 1. Turn 2, though, not such a pretty story. So
yeah,
so Winkelhock spun. You can see the front. Poor old Maxi Boot tagged and spun round.
Back to this battle for 4th place, and he's now got ahead. Kevin Estre has done the business, but he's having to defend aggressively. That's probably a move that will get the attention of the stewards, because he forced the Lamborghini out to the right. Lamborghini's got through again, so he has conceded, but he's trying to come back up the inside as they go to turn 8.
Made for TV, but that certainly was a very, very robust piece of action there, and wasn't his fault on the opening lap, Kevin Estre, but I'd say that was Albert Fontana Taxis isn't sure where to look, but I guess he's...
It takes a lot for him to blow his cheeks, I can tell you.
Now look, here's Maxi Book again, having a look at the start. It all looks fine from this point of view. There'll be an Audi coming to the outside, you'll see any second now, which is Frank Stippler. Frank Stippler goes past him. Book's over the curbs on the inside, all looking fine, and then wait for the cloud. Bang, there it comes. Hit round
by Marcus Winkelhock, and he gets it
by the Nissan.
It's like a game of snooker, it's pinball stuff.
Book has got going again. That's the 84 Bentley we're looking at, and he's having a good old tussle with Rodrigo Sparafico, who started the 0 BMW. He was put to the back of the grid, but he's gained a few places. But clearly, we've seen already the speed the 84 Bentley has. A very strong pairing with Vincent Abril. But Maxi Book, we've seen his ability in the last couple of years in the Mercedes, but he's really making this Bentley go. And he was so innocent in that second corner shunt.
Another move down the inside, the Audi and the Ferrari. The Ferrari this time, well, again, it's side by side. Ferrari just edges it into turn 8. Here we go, side by side, Porsche power versus Mercedes-Benz power, and it looks to me like Porsche power is it all over, done and dusted, pretty comfortably indeed. Max Book seized the opportunity to get past, so we're going to see, this is coming out of turn 14, gets the run, gets up, and he gets into position coming up into turn 1, very late in the brakes, so you've got to give them a dab as you turn in, but he's got the corner and he was able to hold it as the car then made the cut back to. And again, there's the battle for Mercedes just beginning to fall back.
as we sort of rather suspected he would. So another pace
I suspect he's running out of, well, certainly grip. And this is our race leader.
Yeah, quietly pulling
6.7 seconds.
Edging clear of Dirk Buller's BMW. His first chance to pit, but of course you wouldn't expect him to do so. So Stefan Ortelli continues for another lap. Dirk Buller, I don't expect him to come in this time around unless he's fed up of being pushed so hard by Frank Stippler. But he does come in.
Well, I think the BMW, but seeing Maxime Martin getting dressed as early as we did was a bit of a clue that they might want to bring the BMW in relatively early. Again, it's about when you come in, you make your driver change, but it's getting back out, and when you go back out, you're going to go back out in the middle of traffic. That's what strategists are in these teams to sort of work out. It's not quite as sophisticated as a Grand Prix, but nonetheless you can still do your calculations. And if you have a normal pit stop, you get wheels on, off the jacks, and then back out. So we've got Bentley coming in as well.
Well, we're wrong. So Salacada and Boot coming in. Yeah. So there's the number 2 Audi rejoining from the pits. Stefan Ortelli underway from our end of the pit lane beneath our commentary box is Vincent Abril, but he hasn't got ahead. Marco Bononomi has just pulled out ahead of him. It was that tight coming in.
Good teamwork from both the Audi and the Bentley teams.
Very late.
Veteran, yes.
Very late run into the pits for our race leader. There he goes, number 3 into the pit lane, waiting for that to be triggered. So Stefan Richelme, his Monegasque teammate, they're both Monegasque, will take over. Very strong opening stint, but it was untroubled.
Yes, I'm not quite sure why Audi brought him in at this stage. Again, other than they're looking at where do we get Rakelny back in? So a young driver, principally from the single-seater background, into a car being handed over by one of the most experienced GT or sports car WEC drivers in the world. And again,
the Lamborghini is in as well.
An outstanding job by Stefan Ortelli.
Yeah, but maybe they're just playing safe. He was sitting on an 8 and a bit second lead. Let's not worry about any safety cars. Get the job done. Number 3 down off the jacks. Waiting.
Come on, Stefan, get it
a
on.
Bit of a second.
3-4 seconds. Not quite as sharp as getting the car rolling as it needed to be. That'll work to.
Was he going to come out ahead?
Well, here's the BMW. Yes.
So he's gained a bit of ground. No, he's lost a bit of ground in all that because it was about 8 seconds, 6.5 seconds before he came in from second place in 77. 911 really having a fraught time there with Martin Rackinger, and he's fighting very hard with Marco Bononomi and Audi, and this is just how GT racing should be on an Easter weekend, John. And Audi clashing with, well, not clashing, bashing right alongside with the Porsche, but up front it's Audi leading the way, the WRT team, with Stefan Richelme having taken over after that great opening stint.
Yes, there we see the battle for the lead, and again Maxime Martin, it was 1.2 seconds when they came across the line. That's been reduced already just over halfway around the lap, so let's wait and see what we're going to get from Rakelny as he comes across the line. Last lap at 28.2, Martin 28.7.
Oh, another passing move, and that's not Rackinger being pushed back. That's
the
Marcel Wagner being passed by Vincent Abril.
Yeah, so Abril has gotten through the Porsche. Another very aggressive defence now as the Porsche attempts to come back. We know the Porsche's got good straight.
But who's in that yellow Mercedes? It's Bernd Schneider, who's been setting purple times, and he was setting fastest lap times or sector of lap times. He'll be really pushing, and now Marcel Wagner in the Porsche, the least experienced by a long way of this trio.
Yeah, and Bernd Schneider will be all over him, like under somebody's off.
Von Turner Taxis.
That's Albert Von Turner Taxis.
He was fifth under big pressure from Rob Bell.
Are we going to get a safety car or not? Because they're going to have to remove that car. I don't think he'll be able to drive it out of the gravel. So will we see a safety car intervention, which will, of course, have a bearing on the outcome of this race? Safety car. I thought it might be deployed. And
okay, just remember these numbers. 1.2 seconds between first and second when the safety car was called. It won't be much more when they're released, but Maxime Martin will then know that he can attack from right under the tail when we have the replay. And this,
was that assisted or not? I can't tell.
Did Rob Bell clip him? We can't tell, because of course the bodywork has been missing since lap 1, turn 2.
It had hints that it was an assist. Difficult to tell.
Stefan Richelme will be leading away the restart. The lights are out on the Audi, and of course Richelme's wise. He's hung back, but look right under his tail, and importantly behind the BMW that's sitting behind him is a car that's a lap down, which is the number 71 with Mercedes with Alexei Vasiliev. He will provide a buffer for this too, so they can escape from James Nash. And here we go, the restart. That Mercedes is in the way. What a great exit there from Stefan Richelme. Used the curb, not too much, and Maxime Martin just cannot close him down as they go down to turn 1. This time, let's see if the field can get through. Okay, a restart, not the real start, but there, a good job done by Richelme.
Yeah, I've watched the BMW. Maxime Martin is able to really, as I spot those apexes with more success than we're seeing Stefan Richelme do. The BMW is still showing that little bit more bite and grip in these tight corners. Now he's got to be glued under that rear wing as they come through turn 5. Then the sweep through 6 onto the back straight, but the Audi on the gas that little bit earlier, and again uses the advantage that the Audi have got in terms of straight line performance. Maxime Martin is going to have essentially this lap. He's got to keep contact, he's got to keep the pressure on the young Monegasque driver to ensure that he's got any chance of getting onto the top step of the podium. Closes down again into the slower part of the track in 7. To watch through 8.
Yeah, no, certainly Richelme very twitchy all the time down into the end of the back straight into turn 7, but he did enough to make sure that was rebuffed for the lap. That's all he had to do. Now he can get his head down and see how much he settles. It wasn't a long safety car period. They shouldn't have lost too much tyre heat, but look how much they've been helped by Vassiliev, Alexei Vassiliev, holding back the cars in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th.
Well, I mean, it's going to be frustrating for everybody. 3rd, 4th, 5th, what do you call him, Christopher Mies. But the Mercedes has got that little bit of squirt in the straight line. Rob Bell directly behind with a very heavily damaged McLaren. He'll be looking to seek some advantage through.
He's gained a place. In fact,
what's he doing? He's trying to pull up alongside the Audi. He's done it.
He's passed 2 on this restart lap alone. First he passed Christopher Mies, now he's just got past James Nash, so a really strong restart lap. He's got to try and get past Alexei Vassiliev in the Mercedes, but he's done the hard work, Rob Bell, to get up to 3rd place.
Absolutely good driving, and the McLaren showing, in spite of the damage, good pace. But here's this battle still for the lead, under a second between 1st and 2nd.
A lot closer this time. It was 0.7 of a second. Oh gosh, the battle scars from lap 1 for the 71 Mercedes, holding up that group behind him, and Rob Bell will be desperate. Gained 2 places on the first lap of the restart. Now he's being blocked by the Mercedes. What's the gap? 1st to 2nd, identical, 0.7 of a second. James Nash attacking back in number 4 Audi to see if he can get past the tattered McLaren, but Rob Bell does enough to keep the back. Will try and get past Alexei Vassiliev, but cannot manage it down through turn 2.
Well, I think Rob Bell is going to use everything he's got in the bin to try and get alongside into turn 4. He goes down the inside.
And Mies just made the move there, inside Nash into 4th place.
Good job.
The trouble is they get onto the back straight and they hope to have the speed to get past the Mercedes, the tattered 71, but they just can't manage it. So very frustrating for Rob Bell. 1st and 2nd, Stefan Richelme and Maxime Martin pulling ever further clear now.
Well, the gap is 3/4 of a second, 1st to 2nd, but almost 6 seconds between 3rd and 4th place. And again, the Mercedes comfortably, as the Audi is being challenged by the Ferrari down into turn 7.
Schneider has got past Vincent Abril there. You can see the yellow Mercedes has now got past number 84. Bentley, that's had such a tricky race, punted off at the 2nd corner, fought back with Maxi Buch, and now demoted by number 70. That's Bernd Schneider. Mercedes through and through.
So the Spartafico twins bringing up the tail of this field as we go back to the battle. That's 3/4 of a second, wherever you look at it. Mercedes has been now overtaken. McLaren, Rob Bell has done the business, got clear, and that's going to allow him an opportunity. He's 6 or so seconds behind 2nd place, because the McLaren now up into 3rd place.
Yeah, but he lost a fair bit of time there because
he lost a ton of time. So
another second on the leading duo. And Anders Fjordbach right in behind in number 74, being chased by his teammate Marco Bononomi, who's diving up the inside. There you go, going around the end of the old control tower, passing the old pits now. They all have to try and get past the very tattered 71 Mercedes, but it could be a moment like this where, the order changes and being pushed wide. Has he got a puncture there, or was that just going in too deep? But James Nash runs wide onto the dusty stuff. Could be a puncture. It is a puncture into the pits, so very bad luck for James Nash there. Everyone else moves up a position. So that's out of the point scoring drives. And now what we're seeing is Christopher Mies going up the inside. He's hunted down the McLaren for 3rd position, and Rob Bell wasn't able to resist him. Looked as though he had 3rd place in the bag, but perhaps that early race damage now looks like he's perhaps even cruising in. Looks so in the space of about 30 seconds, we've had the car from the top 6, which is number 4, get a puncture, and then a slowing McLaren was caught and passed by Christopher Mies. So we now have the 3 Audi leading the race. No, the McLaren is still going, but well, that's interesting. He's dropped back a very long way. So Stefan Richelmy leading by 1.2 seconds from the 77 BMW of Maxime Martin. Rob Bell was third, but now it's Christopher Mies in the 2 Audi up into third position. And Marco Siegfried should be moving up to fourth. Oh, and off the track, so maybe he too has a puncture. We've seen Rob Bell slow, he's letting the others pass. The car that's just gone past him is Bernd Schneider, so he's lost about 4 or 5 places. Can't see if it's sitting low on one side, but he's cruising back to the pits. So what was a great recovery drive by Kevin Estre, and now Rob Bell looks as though they're going to go home empty-handed. Wow, this is the seat to be in on this lap. This is the chasing car. This is Maxime Martin, the Belgian driver. Oh, and another slip and a slide from Stefan Richelmy, understeering out of turn 2. That's a 1,000-mile stare from the pit lane there from Stefan Ortelli. Can his fellow countryman and teammate Stefan Richelmy hold off Maxime Martin's charge? And he's new, don't forget. Stefan Richelmy is a single-seater driver through and through, and here he is in GT racing. This is the last lap of the race. I think he's done enough to stay ahead. Now they just have the right-hander and the left-hander to complete the lap. It's going to be next to nothing. 1-2 car lengths between them. But I think the first blood of the 2015 Blancpain GT Sprint Series will go to Audi, and Stefan Richelmy and his teammate Stefan Ortelli chased so hard to the line. 0.552 of a second was the gap at the end. So delight there. A smile from Laurens Vanthoor. Didn't get to start the race in the number 1 sister car, but he's delighted on behalf of the driver in the middle there, Stefan Ortelli, the dark hair, deep-set eyes and the big smile. Who's going to come home in third place? It's Christopher Mies, and Marco Siegfried just makes it into fourth ahead of Bernd Schneider and Marco Bononomi. So what a charge by the yellow Mercedes and the green Ferrari. Stefan Richelmy looking very happy indeed. Let's hear what he has to say.
Stefan, congratulations. How difficult was that towards the end? Always under pressure from Maxime Martin.
It was really good, but for sure Max applied a big pressure on me. It's my ex-teammate, so it's really good to fight together. And hopefully Steph did a really good job in the first stint. It allowed me to have some margin, but after the safety car I have really to push as much as I can. I managed a little gap, and just in the 2 last lap I was a bit struggling. I still have a lot to understand, but I'm really happy with this result.
Well done, Stefan. Congratulations.
Well, very good to hear there from Stefan Richelmy. Job well done. Wonderful, warm spring afternoon after a grey morning here at Nogaro. What a cracker it was. And we're going to have another few interviews for you.
Maxime Martin, you had an enviable task. You chased the Audi all the way through, behind the safety car as well. Was that your best chance to get past the leading Audi?
Yeah, I think they were a bit stronger than us today. But at the end it was a good fight, and we finished quite close. So we'll do our best for winning tomorrow.
Now, I saw you come up and congratulate Stefan Richelmy on a good drive. It sounds like you were impressed with what he did in the Audi.
Yeah, he was really quick and didn't do any mistakes, so it was difficult to catch him. But no, it's good. Like, looking forward for tomorrow.
So tell me, what's it like to be in a sunny BMW as opposed to a Munich BMW, a nice bright Brazilian BMW?
Yeah, that's lovely. I mean, I was having the honor to drive the art car in Le Mans, so that was the only time I was not driving a white one. But no, it's cool. I mean, I love the colors, and you know, the whole team is so friendly. They're so professional, really high level, and you know, they were welcoming Maxime and myself really nice and pushed from the beginning. And well, so far so good. We are running really good. We were P2 in qualifying this morning, now P2. So I think we need to work a little bit tonight, and we want to catch the victory, that's for sure.
It was Richelmy and Ortelli winning in the number 3 Audis. Then Maxime Martin and Dirk Muller second in the BMW. Christopher Meade, Enzo Ide third for Audi. Marco Siegfried, Norbert Siegler worked up to fourth for Ferrari. Then Bernd Schneider from the back with Alexei Karachev takes fifth for Mercedes. The ISR Audis come sixth and seventh. Vincent Abril and Maxi Buch involved in the first corner action up to eighth. And here now is the podium ceremony. Ortelli first onto the top step and Stefan Richelmy right alongside him. Joined by the BMW racers, Dirk Muller there, and behind him Maxime Martin. Very good chase led by them. And then Christopher Mies, there he is shaking hands, and Enzo Ide going past, congratulating his teammate there, Stefan Ortelli. So the Blancpain Sprint Series gets underway with its first feature race of 2015, the first round of 7 here at Nogaro. The grid is starting to be cleared. The crowds have packed in on Easter Monday here at the circuit Paul Armagnac. We had a fantastic qualifying race yesterday, and of course the winner of that race, the number 3 Audi, will start from the front row of the grid. Talk of Stefan Autelli. Here he is on the grid with John Watson. Let's hear from Stefan.
Stefan Autelli, winner of the qualifying race yesterday. Great victory, but not easy.
It was a big fight, especially at the end for Rick and me, my teammate. Max Martin is such a great driver. You know, he put a lot of pressure on us, but it was a good win, a good way to start for our Audi Team WRT. So especially here at Nogaro, it's perfect.
Drag race into turn 1 with the BMW and the Audi. Who's going to win it?
I hope the Audi. But race is long. There is many points, and yeah, it's important to manage the first corner, and it's important to manage all the points we can at the end of the race as well.
A lot of carnage in turn 1 in the qualifying race. You managed to avoid that.
It's the only thing we have to say. It's really a pity for Lawrence and Robin. You know, they deserve to be here with us racing and not racing. The only concern for me was not the mistakes or what happened in turn 1, but the fact that they are not here racing with us.
Thank you very much.
So Stefan Autelli down there on the grid. His teammate Stefan Richelmy will be starting the car. So the 18 cars forming up on the grid. The 18 drivers ready to start this race. Of course, we lost the number 1 Audi yesterday morning, not taking part for the rest of this meeting. So a big setback for them. And there we have a look at the cars. You can see the number 77 BMW on the outside of the front row. Sun glinting off its windscreen. Soft, gentle wind now blowing from a slightly different direction around the pits, but it's warming up with every moment. Track conditions absolutely perfect ahead of the race. 1 hour ahead of us coming up very soon indeed. Front row shared by Stefan Richelmy in the number 3 Audi and Maxime Martin, who's so strong in the second half of yesterday's qualifying race, on the outside of the front row in the 77 BMW. There is the number 3 car that won yesterday's race. This race is grid formed according to finishing positions in the qualifying race. So the first 6 finishers yesterday picked up points: 8, 6, 4, 3, 2 and 1. So they've got their championship underway and starting in the first 6 grid positions. Hopefully we'll all get around turn 2 this time around after the fracas down there yesterday that took out a handful of the runners, but it has sorted out the grid, and we're going to have some very interesting cars coming up through from after disappointing results yesterday. But certainly as you look down the grid, plenty of Audis there. There's the number 2 Audi starting 3rd on the grid. Christopher Mies will start off in that today. The green Ferrari in the background is Rinaldi Racing 333 with Marco Seefried at the wheel of that. That really came up in the last handful of laps. We had a lot of sorting out, and both the green Ferrari and the yellow Mercedes you can see in the background with Bernd Schneider, he will be starting today, and he was such a star yesterday. When he took over the car, it was down in 17th position, but he used all those years of experience and kept picking off those ahead of him. Marco Bononomi is in the better placed of the 2 ISR Audis, and he will be starting the race, sharing with teammate Philippe Salacada. Then we go over to the best place of the Bentleys in yesterday's race, run this year by HTP Motorsport, and Vincent Abril, French driver on a French circuit, will be kicking off in that. Put the 2 drivers of Car Zero together, it's very hard to tell them apart. They're identical twins from Brazil, the Sparaficos, and I can tell you Ricardo will be at the wheel of that at the start. We have 2 more drivers who look rather similar in the next car. The Fjordbach brothers from Denmark, and Anders Fjordbach will kick off in car 74. You can't have a GT race without a Porsche 911, the perfect number for it. And the less experienced, the duo Marcel Wagner will kick off in 911 with Martin Ragginger taking over next time. A late race puncher when running in 4th place cost James Nash and Frank Stippler. Nash will start the race in that one. There's the McLaren looking rather tidier today. Rob Bell. Problem on the opening lap when the bodywork was damaged, then an alternator problem cost them what could have been 3rd place right down to the tail of the grid. We've got Olivier Lombard starting the race in the 83 Bentley, and Nicky Meyer-Melnoff will be starting the 6 Phoenix Racing Audi that caused so much trouble down at turn 2 on the opening lap yesterday when Marcus Winkelhock was at the wheel of the car and spun the Bentleys around. So 18 cars on the grid, the sun is shining, weather conditions perfect, track conditions look absolutely perfect. John Watson just up to join me in the commentary box. What was it like down on the grid, John? A lot of tension.
Well, a lot of very pretty pit girls, I have to say. But aside from that, there's an element of tension because we saw the start of the race, the qualifying race on Sunday. All that action going out of turn 1 into turn 2. Please, I hope everybody realises that you can't win a race on the opening lap or on the first 2 corners. So let's hope everybody can have enough self-discipline and get enough temperature into their tyres on this one last lap before they take the start of the race, and we get all cars through the first lap cleanly and have a proper race. I mean, it's going to be tight at the front, believe me, between the Audi and the BMW. That's going to be a drag race down into turn 1. Car on the inside in pole position is Stefan Rakelmi. He's got the advantage, but of course the BMW on the outside with Marcel Martin in the car, Maxime Martin, he can afford to try and sneak around the outside then to get position for turn 2. So that's all up for grabs. Having said that, it can easily go wrong for everybody.
Of course, we've got spies in the cab. We just saw the front-facing shot from Bernd Schneider's bright yellow number 70s Mercedes, and there was a rear-facing shot from one of the Bentleys. It was the number 84 Bentley. Vincent Abril will start in that, and he's starting from 7th position on the grid, and Bernd Schneider will be starting that yellow Mercedes, just going down into turn 7 at the moment, from 5th.
I mean, we always talk about Bernd Schneider, what a great competitor he is. That car started the qualifying race back in 17th place, ended up 5th place, winner of the Pro-Am category. That's because both drivers, Bernd Schneider and his teammate Alexei Velesev, they just did what they were there to do. They kept out of trouble, they kept the car running competitively, and they ended up winning their category, but also finishing 5th, picking up points.
Picking up a couple of points. And the people who'll be most aware about points being scored, of course, are Lawrence Vanthoor and Robin Frieds. They will get nothing from this weekend, and there's the potential for yesterday's winners Richelme and Ortelli to add another 25 to their 8 from the qualifying race and go away with a 33-point lead over their teammates.
I mean, no doubt that's what they're looking at. They've had the best start to the weekend, as we've seen, with that very fine victory, albeit it was about half a second covering the first 2 cars, but half a second is more than enough to take victory. It's the start of the race. It's the first 4 corners here at the Nogaro circuit, 14 corners, 3.6 kilometres, and they can all go pear-shaped in the blink of an eye.
Well, all being controlled by the Audi at the front, but we're waiting. 18 cars looking absolutely magnificent in this spring sunshine down in southwest France, being bunched up, ready for the rolling start. They've got to come through turn 13, turn 14, look to the gantry, and then take it away. Will it be a BMW taking the lead at the start, or will Stefan Richelme do just as good a job as his teammate Stefan Ortelli did yesterday?
For me, the key is if one gets the advantage over the other, for the other not to come back aggressively and say, I'll give it up and I'll work to get it later in the race.
So here we are coming through the final corner for the start of the first sprint race of the season, going down, waiting for the lights to go out on the gantry. The lights are out. Is it Audi leading? It could be the second place Audi. Going down the inside, taking a look into turn 1 is the BMW, but Maxime Martin can't make it stick. Are they behaving behind as Stefan Richelme leads down into turn 2? 18 cars went into turn 2, 18 cars came out. Nissan dropping down to the tail there with Sean Walkinshaw on board. A little bit of bodywork clash between the ISR, one of the ISR Audis, and the FAC Autotech Porsche, but leading the way at the front. Stefan Richelme being pushed very hard at turn 4 by Maxime Martin, who will be ahead into turn 5 and 6. It's what a great move by your man, Maxime Martin.
That was a professional racing driver's manoeuvre, a driver who's so experienced in GT racing, and in fairness to Stefan Rakelny, who's now also coming under threat from Christopher Mies, the sister WRT car. Rakelny didn't try to close the door emphatically, but he's having to do something like that to keep Christopher Mies, who just wisely drops back behind the sister WTR Audi, coming into turns 10 and 11.
Well, yesterday we saw Maxime Martin hunting down Richelme to try and take the lead of the race. He didn't manage it. Slightly long face there for Vincent Voss, because Richelme no longer in the lead of the race in one of the 3 Team WRT Audis in this race. Very busy behind it. Look at Bernd Schneider. I'd love to see his onboard footage. I'm sure we will shortly. Well, he's got the front-facing camera. He's up to 4th. One position
and also
gain.
he's seeing the battling going on between the 2 Audis. They're focused on their own little battle. Bernd Schneider sitting there with a very long-nosed, big V8 powered Audi, Mercedes SLS. Again, he's such an experienced driver. He's watching and thinking, let these young guns go out and fight amongst themselves. The Bentley now making its way up. Also Vincent Abril, who started 8th up to 6th place. Good start for the Bentley. More importantly, the car is clean and undamaged.
Quite so. And in fact, Abril now right on the tail of the Rinaldi Ferrari that Marco Seefried started. That was pushed back by Schneider, and now he's got his mirrors filled of the very big image of the Bentley behind, the yellow nose, of course, on the 84.
This car we're on board with, the Bentley number 84. We saw that Max Buch had a difficulty getting past one of the BMWs mid-race, and the reason was in that corner damage in the opening lap of the race, it forced the radiator and the front of the car back, and it damaged the air intake, so they lost horsepower, therefore they lost speed, and that was the reason we've realised that the Bentley couldn't pass the BM.
We're certainly showing a lot of speed on the second lap down the back straight. Easing ever further clear is Maxime Martin. He was 0.9 of a second clear at the end of the opening lap. It's increased by probably another half second down the back straight, but Christopher Mies in the number 2 Audi, which is running third, getting right on the tail of the sister car of Richelme. There you can see the yellow wing. But getting closer to both of them, of course, is that big, brightest yellow object in the whole circuit, Bernd Schneider's Mercedes.
I suspect part of the reason is, although we've got a beautiful day outside, there is a cold wind blowing across the circuit. And the tyre temperatures are just taking a couple of laps to get up to the operating optimum, whereas the Mercedes and the BMW probably aren't suffering quite that same issue. The Audi we saw in qualifying on Saturday and Sunday is a little bit more nervous when the tyre temperatures are cold.
Again, just enjoy the action as you look at the battle for second place, the two Audis as seen by Bernd Schneider. But Siegfried may have been demoted in the bright green Ferrari, but he's not being dropped, and if anything, he's dropped Vincent Abril off his tail. Abril now has to look at Marco Bononomi. He's about half a second behind him. Then the battle behind them, Marcel Wagner, very experienced in the Porsche, but he's holding down a little train of cars behind them, 8th, 9th and 10th, with Riccardo Sbarafico and car number 55, which is the second attempt, the first of the Attempto Racing entries, with Rob Bell on board, going well in that McLaren.
So everybody now, having had 2 laps under their belt, should be feeling a little bit more confident. They've now got the tyre temperature nearer to what they would require. In the meantime, Maxime Martin has got a 1.3 second advantage over the second place Raikkonen in the number 3 Audi, and that's the confidence that Maxime Martin has in the BMW. He knows he can stand on it from the minute those lights go out, and he's got the car under him to do it.
And we saw that yesterday. He was the second driver in the number 77 BMW. He got out in his first flying lap after the pit stop, the fastest lap of the race, and then he got closer and closer, using all the curbs as he's entitled to. Now, can Christopher Mies start to really trouble Stefan Richelme? Of course, Vincent Voss, the team boss, will not be wanting too much challenging. He wants them to work with each other and see if they can do anything to reduce the gap to the BMW in the lead.
I think Christopher Mies' best opportunity would have been at end of the straight, first lap, and that's not going to be the case. Everything is now back to what I would call stable conditions. Stefan Raikkonen has now got the car he wants. He's got the confidence back. He was a little bit maybe apprehensive starting at the front of the grid, knowing that Maxime Martin was going to be all over him in turns 1, 2. As it turned out, it was turn 5 that he got the pass finally made. There's the BMW leading 1.9 seconds as they came across the line as they got to the 4th lap. And now Christopher Mies has realised, I'm just going to be able to sit and hold station. It will need either traffic or a mistake from Raikkonen for the 3rd place Audi to become the 2nd place Audi.
I think the next change of place will be Riccardo Sbarafico getting past the 911 Porsche, but in fact behind them I see the second of Anders Fjordbach really having a look at the 55 Attempto Racing Rob Bell McLaren. So it's edging. The front order seems to be quite settled, but maybe in fact Mies is that little bit closer this time around. So no wonder Stefan Ortelli's looking slightly concerned.
He's got a concerned look on his face. I mean, he wears his heart on his sleeve all the time. Christopher Mies more experienced in GT racing in Audis than Stefan Raikkonen is, so he is quicker. We can see from the end of the pit, end of the straight into turn 7, through that sequence of lefts and rights, coming down eventually onto turns 12, 13, the penultimate corner, then 14. This was the bogey corner for the Audis when we saw that qualifying taking place on Saturday.
Yep, 3 of them went for a spin and 1 of them never got to play again. That's the number 1 Audi parked up for the weekend. So at the moment we've got Maxime Martin leading by over 2.5 seconds for BMW from the Audi duo, Stefan Richelme and Christopher Mies. Bernd Schneider right behind them in the top Pro-Am entry. Of course, he'll hand that over to Alexei Karachev, who did a good job yesterday, but he's not Bernd Schneider.
No, he did an extremely good job. Ernst Weed, he's looking at the 3rd place Audi, wondering, well, is my teammate going to be able to give me a car in 2nd place when we get to the pit stop window, which will come after 25 to 35 minutes of this 1-hour race with a mandatory driver change and of course 4 wheels and tyres.
But it's just a dream start for Maxime Martin. He took the lead at turn 5 and he's just pulling clear. He's gaining about 1/3 of a second in the first sector of the lap, down the back straight. There's so much clear air behind him.
Well, there's a little battle going on with the McLaren having to go very defensive as it goes from left to right, back to left. And the first of those two Audis again looking very, very strong at the end of the straight. McLaren not able to quite get into the corner with the pace of the Audi.
Now, one driver who's started to pick off a few places is Walkinshaw down at the back end of the field. Of course, there was a big problem yesterday. You went to speak to the Nissan team, the MRS GT Racing team. What was the problem? Then we had a problem this morning for them.
Well, they first of all, in the start of the qualifying race, they got hit heavily in the rear of the car, so rear bodywork damage, but also rear damage to the rear left rear suspension and some of the ancillary cooling, the oil cooling for the diff and so on and so forth. So that had to be repaired, but there was more the problem this morning when Sean Walkinshaw was out on an out lap and he came through turn 5 and all of a sudden you heard a large mechanical crack. So the team had to pull the car off and then went through every part of that rear of the car to discover what it is. They changed everything they could and they then went out prior to the start of the race, did 2 or 3 passes through the pits, gave it the thumbs up, and the car is in the race. Sean Walkinshaw currently in 17th place, but of course they're short of track time and they're short of race experience as well.
Yeah, but he was at the back of your shot there. But that battle for second place in the chase of Maxime Martin, well, in fact, not the futile chase, but they are dropping away from him. Still Stefan Richelmy in the number 3 Audi. Now look how busy it is behind. You can see the red and white Porsche with Marcel Wagner doing a great job in 8th place, being chased by Riccardo Sbarafico, and then Rob Bell tucking in behind them in the number 55 McLaren. Really fierce action down in the middle order.
Yes, and there was this McLaren that lost a lot of its bodywork. In fact, they were able to refit the nose that popped out in that second turn incident. So it was actually undamaged. It just popped the latches and it was retrieved and refitted to the car. There's barely any damage to it. The alternator went down, but ironically, with the camera on board, they think the reason the car stopped on the penultimate lap was that the extra little bit of drain on the battery from the onboard camera might have been the reason why the car didn't make it to the finish.
Well, it provides us with great footage all along. So, Maxime Martin leading the way by 3.8 seconds last time around. There's that midfield battle. There's Rob Bell going down into turn 1. Whole group of cars right behind. So the gap between first and second, 3.84 seconds. Christopher Mies just another half second down behind. Bert Schneider in 4th. There's Maxime Martin pulling clear down the back straight again. Then come 3 and 2 down the back straight. Richelmy ahead of Christopher Mies. Bert Schneider still in 4th place after that good opening lap, setting some good sector times. Behind them is Seifried, and now look how it's getting closer and closer in that little battle. And the order has changed, so Mies got past down the back straight there, and so clearly one would have to think that was orders, because Christopher Mies would have been being slightly frustrated behind Stefan Richelmy. He was so close, didn't want to take a risk to go past him. Now has gone past. Let's see how their comparative pace goes. Ironically, in fact, the fastest first sector of anybody was set by Christopher Mies at the start of this lap.
Yes, and
now let's see what he can do with clear track.
Now he's got the opportunity to do some good work and try and close down the gap. 3.8 seconds was the gap between the lead BMW and the second place Audi, which is now the third place Audi. So it's going to be in that 3.8 to 4 second gap, but it's now in the hands of Christopher Mies to try and hump that gap down. Now he'll be handing his Audi over to Enzo Ede, and of course when Rakelny comes in, he'll be handing his car over to Stefan Ortelli. And between Enzo Ede and Ortelli, you have to say that Ortelli has got the more experience in GT racing and is more than capable of again recouping that position and possibly going on and making a battle for the lead of the race.
Marcel Wagner holding up a train of cars behind him, but not putting a wheel wrong in the lone Porsche in the race, the 911 entered by Fach Autotech. And again, we're looking forward. That is Marcel Wagner in the front of your view there. That's filmed, and he is now finally, passed, knocked out of the way. So he's going to lose 2 places. Off the track goes Marcel Wagner. He hasn't put a wheel wrong, but he was helped there by Riccardo Sbarafico. And Rob Bell went through in the McLaren as well. So poor Marcel Wagner, short on experience, did nothing wrong, John.
No,
but helped off the circuit.
Again, an incident that was essentially an avoidable incident, which caused the Porsche to lose 3 places. As again, we see the cars having to fan out on the straight to defend as they make their way down this sort of 700 metre back straight, and then into turn 7, and getting very, very busy indeed. People trying to go the long way around the Mercedes, almost 3 abreast as the Bentley tries to make it an overtaking opportunity as well, but on the outside of turn 10 and 11, not a good place.
Front of the Nissan appears to have bodywork damage. There's something flapping around. Sorry, it's not the Nissan. It could be the Audi. Let's just look for a later shot. It's at the back of that group.
There's nothing that we can see that is obvious. The BMW Sperifeco, then the Audi, the Audi, and the Porsche is dropping back. It's lost more positions.
Well, the Nissan with Sean Walkinshaw is at the back of that group, and I thought I saw some front bodywork flapping on it.
Yeah, and somewhere in that group, down in 13th place, James Nash in the 4 Audi, trying to make his way up through the field, having had a tyre go down in the penultimate lap as well. I'm sure almost podium position for that car. And of course it dropped all the way back down to the bottom of the field in 14th.
A bit of contact there, and the 71 Mercedes pushed wide. That's Alexei Vasiliev. So it's really robust stuff down just outside the top 10. Places being won, places being lost. Maybe I was wrong about the front bodywork damage on the Nissan, but that's right in the group as well.
Yeah, I mean it's being held up now in a whole chain of cars. The Mercedes taking the high line coming through turn 5, the Nissan taking the lower, more traditional line. Things a little bit more stable in this group of cars. So let's have a look and see back what happened. There is the contact between the Brazil BMW, and it just sort of hip and shoulders the Porsche off onto the grass, and very little is able to be done about it. Well, to the detriment of the Porsche.
Yeah, and I think with everybody else behind it,
there is actually at the back of the Porsche, there's a little bit of that left rear bodywork. You can see it just sticking out. So in that little hip and shoulder, as I mentioned, that's the consequence. The Porsche, something is flapping at the left rear of the car.
Interestingly, after they got released by Wagner being pushed wide, all the cars behind set their fastest first sector on the following lap. So it goes to show he was delaying them. Nothing wrong in what he was doing, however.
No, I mean, the Porsche earned his position there on merit, so it's just defending what it would do. It was 10th in the qualifying race, so started at the 5th row of the grid. And position is position is position, a bit like property.
Well, the best position to be in, of course, is the lead of the race, and Maxime Martin continues to lead the race, 4.286 seconds clear of Christopher Mies in the number 2 Audi. Stefan Richelme 2.8 seconds back, so it was a good decision to reverse the number 3 back behind number 2. Marcel Wagner still in the wars, being pushed super hard by the 83 Bentley. That's with Olivier Lombard, who didn't get to race yesterday because his teammate Jules Simkowiak didn't get as far as turn 3.
In the meantime, Nicky Meyer-Mellenhoff has also gotten past the Porsche, so the Porsche just now falling back down the field. Whether there was any damage to the car resulting from that hip movement, but he got pushed off at turn 4, exit of turn 4, certainly the car has lost speed.
Lost speed. Kevin Estre up on the pit wall looking to see how Rob Bell's doing. I can tell him he's running in 9th place, but I have a feeling that Mr. Estre knows that very well indeed. I thought there might have been even a slight puncture on the Marcel Wagner's Porsche, but I think it's just the camera angle making the tyre tip low. Let's go down. So Maxime Martin leading the way, 4.38 seconds clear, another advantage. A further gain by Christopher Mies in the number 2 Audi ahead of his teammate Stefan Richelme, who's 3rd. Bernd Schneider got into 4th place on the opening lap, is still there, 1.5 seconds clear of Marco Seefried's Ferrari. The best placed Bentley, Vincent Abril in the number 84 entry is 6th. Then Marco Bononomi for the ISR Audi team is 7th. Riccardo Sperafeco up to 8th in the 0 numbered BMW Z4. 55 Rob Bell and is 9th and 10th place. Here's a replay, and this is the Bentley pushing Mr. Vasiliev's Mercedes just to the outside of the circuit, and it certainly has been quite tough stuff out there, John.
Yeah, I mean, coming into turn 2, there's opportunity to come up the inside, but inevitably there will be contact, and the door was open. The Bentley took the opportunity. I don't like saying contact, but I don't think that's going to be something that will be reviewed by the stewards. That would be seen as just the door was left a little bit wide open and the Bentley went down it. So
the only contact that's under review so far is the clash between Riccardo Sperafeco and Marcel Wagner, and I think that's one that is perhaps worthy of consideration. But the sister BMW for the BMW Team Brazil entry, Antonio Herman on the pit wall, looking very happy indeed. Maxime Martin doing just the sort of solid job we know, not just solid, spectacularly good job we know he can do.
He's lapping quicker than anyone else in the field. Nearest challenger to him is Christopher Mies, who's lapping about 2 and a bit tenths of a second slower than the lead BMW. The gap currently at 4.4 seconds. So, I mean, Christopher Mies is doing a very good job trying to contain the pace of Maxime Martin in the front, whereas Recalde has fallen 3.5 seconds now behind Christopher Mies in 3rd place. But he's managed to pull a little bit of a gap between himself and Bernd Schneider and the Mercedes in 4th place. So Recalde's in pretty much clear air, but also not being threatened by anybody in particular.
The close-up shot just there of Sean Walkinshaw's Nissan reveals it did have front bodywork damage. What was flapping has since flown off, so it was a spot, and it has happened. Gap between first and second, though, as Walkinshaw chases after Olivier Lombard's Bentley, which is tucked behind Alexei Vassiliev's Mercedes, and Marcel Wagner's Porsche, which I think is now starting to hold them up. Gap between first and second, though, nearly 4.5 seconds.
Just looking at Sean Walkinshaw, I mean, he is sitting so low on the Nissan. I mean, you can barely just see his helmet above the height of the door. Now, that's all done to get the centre of gravity as low as possible, but also it does result in a restricted vision, particularly across the car, and I think it's the right front of that car that has got some damage on it. So inevitably you get the car and the driver low, you lose some of the visibility, the near visibility at the front of the car.
In fact, as you pointed that out, John, I looked out across onto the back straight, and I could only just see the top of his helmet as he went really past us,
He's
left
really
to right.
So
the lead, 4.54 seconds. Maxime Martin, the 77 BMW, edging ever further clear, but it's only by a fraction here, a fraction there, not even a tenth of a second added last time around, ahead of Christopher Mies. So a very good job by Mies in the number 2 Audi. Number 3 Audi, Stefan Richelme, is now nearly 4 seconds down in third place on his teammate Bernd Schneider. Super solid running in fourth for Mercedes.
I know you can always if and or but any motor race, but if Christopher Mies had managed to get ahead into turn 7 on the opening lap of the sister Audi, he may have been able to keep closer contact to the BMW, put Maxime Martin under a little bit more pressure. He's got the benefit of driving in clear air and no pressure from behind. He just has to make sure he hits his marks, gets all those apexes absolutely precise, no abuse of the curb.
Well, good move there by Alexei Vassiliev out of turn 7. He had more acceleration than Marcel Wagner had in the Porsche, so GT Russian team gained a place there and snaking their way up, but it's only moving him up to 14th place. Sorry, that's not around turn 7. That was going through turns 4 and 5. So Mercedes moving up another position, chased by Marcel Wagner's Porsche. Then a place gain very recently. Walkinshaw got ahead of Lombard at the front end of this lap.
Yes, so the Nissan finally getting sort of a reasonable run. We're just 20 minutes or so into the race, and this is the longest we've seen this Nissan running it really at any point over the weekend. It's just experience for Sean Walkinshaw. Of course, Craig Dolby more experienced in both single-seaters and a variety of shapes and sizes, but Walkinshaw dives down the inside into turn 12. Turn 11, that is. Good pass, good place to pass if you can get yourself alongside, and Sean Walkinshaw did so and got past the Porsche cleanly.
Yeah, it's good to look at a detailed shot of the 911, because I did wonder if it had picked up any damage in the side-on contact with Riccardo Sperafico. Again, looking to see if it's sitting slightly low, but anyhow, it's now getting smaller in the rear-view mirror of the Nissan. Last place in the race, he's just gone another place. Yes, he's lost out.
He just went wide or late into turn 1, got onto the dirty part of the racetrack, and of course the Bentley just was a gift for the Bentley to take that position. So it's benefited from whatever's gone wrong for the Porsche. It's going wrong basically by the lap.
Well, he's only got one more car to pass him, because that puts Marcel Wagner back into 17th, 18th place, and final runner is Albert von Thurn und Taxis in the Lamborghini, and he's catching very fast indeed. He's closing right in.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm surprised that the Lamborghini hasn't made further progress sooner, because that is a quick car. Albert von Thurn und Taxis may not be quite at the pace of Nicky Katzbach, but nonetheless he knows these cars inside out, and they're just sort of running 18th, and last lap 1:30.6.
What we're seeing at the front end of the grid, as we have another McLaren looking forward from Rob Bell's viewpoint onto the tail of Riccardo Sperafico, is that the gap between first and second is absolutely stabilised at sort of 4.5 seconds. Christopher Mies matching almost to the 10th of a second, almost to the 100th of a second, the speed that Maxime Martin has in the race-leading number 77 BMW. There we have it, 4.595 seconds, and then there's almost identically sized gap back to Stefan Richelme. Rob Bell unable to do anything about Riccardo Sperafico, so the second BMW, that's number 0, holding off the 55 McLaren. The sister McLaren, number 54, only 2 places behind Rob Bell, so a very good job from Philippe Vlasic.
Well, in fairness, you'd have assumed that this car were on board Rob Bell and Kevin Estre would be the dominant of the 2 McLarens. And in fact, when we saw this car in the qualifying race on Sunday, with a lot of its bodywork missing, it looked to be more competitive. Now, McLaren say all their downforce is fundamentally generated from the underside of the car rather than the surface, the top surface of the car. That's probably partly why they didn't really lose very much in the qualifying race, but now they've got everything back in place. This particular car, the Cavenestra Rob Bell car, isn't making any progress whatsoever with the Speraficos, running in the 129s, low 129s each, against about 0.8 of a second slower than the lead two cars are doing. So where's the pace? There should be more pace in this car currently. We're looking at Rob Bell, the 55 McLaren.
Rob Bell was running up in third place yesterday. Do you think when they'll come in, they'll pop the bonnet off? It certainly went well without it.
You might cut the bonnet off, you might take a sledgehammer and damage a lot of the front of the car. But the amazing thing is that the majority of the downforce from the McLaren is the surface bodywork, or the bottom of the car, rather than the upper surfaces, where you might imagine most of the downforce in other cars would be generated.
So getting towards the pit window, 2 and a bit minutes, and a few nervous drivers in the pit lane. You can see jumping up and down. Points in this race go down to 10th place, and at the moment that's the top silver pairing of Anders Fjordbach, who'll be handing over the 74 ISR Audi to his brother Thomas, and he's half a minute down on race leader Maxime Martin after 15 laps have been completed.
And there we see the top Pro-Am car currently in 4th place, still charging after Stefan Raikkonen, just less than a second now behind the Audi. And I just wonder, has Bernd Schneider found a little bit of additional performance? Now we're getting into the sort of middle part of the race, tyre usage, tyre conservation coming to a point where this tyres will be changed. That's mandatory as well as the driver change. So has that experience of Bernd Schneider begun to pay and closing down on the 3rd place Audi?
Well, we know that Bernd will stay in right to the end of the pit window before handing over to his less experienced teammate Alexei Karachev. So he's running 4th, but over the first 5 or so laps, Marco Siegfried didn't lose a lot of ground in the 5th place Ferrari, but now he's 4.5 seconds back. Last time around, another 0.2 of a second gained by Bernd Schneider. You could just see the green Ferrari flashing through your shot there, but nobody at the moment though has any answer to the 77 BMW. Maxime Martin going halfway down the pit back straight at the moment. That's the sister car. There is the race leader coming down towards turn 7 under no pressure, clear track ahead of him.
And Dirk Müller already
suited and booted.
To get into the, I don't know, that this car made a very early, it was the first car to make a pit stop in the qualifying race when Dirk Müller handed over to Maxime Martin. Now, we see this Martin-driven BMW comfortably leading, not under pressure. Will they do as they did yesterday and make that early pit stop and try and what they believed was the right strategy, get better track position as the consequence of making an early pit stop, or will they hang in till the last minute, let Martin use all he has got, all he's built up? So it'll be an interesting strategy call, and I think he might be, no he's not, just the way the car came out of turn 13. So he is staying on track. The pit stop window is now open, and there will be some that will be coming in at the earliest opportunity. If I was running this team, I would keep Maxime Martin out principally until the last possible moment, and then bring it in and hand over to Dirk Müller. But it's a question of where will he return to the field.
Richelme's the first into the pits. The number 3 Audi comes in from 3rd place. He was 4.5 seconds down on his teammate Christopher Mies. Good call.
That's a good call, because Stefano Otelli is going to get into this car, and Otelli with much more experience will be able to maybe make better use of the car than Stefan Raikkonen did. Raikkonen did a great job yesterday when he held off Maxime Martin. But,
we've got a Bentley in the pits, which is Vincent Abril, who'll be handing over to Maxi Buch. That's a good call too. And Riccardo Sperafico will be handing over the 0 BMW to his brother Rodrigo. We also have number 4 James Nash coming into the pits, and Nicky Meyer-Meinhof. They came in from about 14th and 15th places. So number 2 back again.
Yeah, I think 3. In the case of the Bentley under the what was the 3rd place Audi, I think teams are looking and saying we'll put the slightly more experienced, albeit maybe also slightly quicker driver into the car at the earliest opportunity to try and maximise that benefit.
Well, they look like pretty tidy pit stops, if anything. I think the 84 entry with Maxi Buch now on board had a slightly faster pit stop than the Stefan Otelli number 3 Audi that he took over from Stefan Richelme. Let's see as the order unwinds. But certainly Maxime Martin continuing untravelled, goes on to another lap. Let's see what the gap is ahead of Christopher Mies. 4.685 seconds. There's been another 10th gain, but it's really been nip and tuck between this pair. and it's been staying at this level for the past 5 laps.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the Audi can't really do any more than it's doing, and likewise Maxime Martin seems to have a gap which I'm sure he would like to extend, because the more time you can extend, then the more time you have if you have maybe a poor pit stop or you get caught in traffic where you re-enter the race. So that unfortunately is the situation, as we see what was the class leading Mercedes-Benz, Bernd Schneider. So that car still actually in 3rd place, but behind it is the Lamborghini, and is that now being driven? It's still being driven by Albert von Thun and Taxis. It appears to have gone a lap down.
No, he's had a pit stop, but
so
it
that's now
hasn't caught up.
Okay,
It's
that's Nicky Katzberg in the car.
Katzberg. Just seen Rob Bell bring the number 55 McLaren in. The top 4 runners at the moment not having pitted, of course. Maxime Martin in the 77 as the Nissan comes in. 77 BMW leading the way. Christopher Mies, number 2 Audi. There is the Nissan coming to a halt. Bernd Schneider up to 3rd in the yellow Mercedes, and Marco Seefried hasn't brought the green Ferrari, number 333 in. They are the first 4 on the track.
Interestingly as well, the 2 ISR Audis have not come in, and they're looking to me to try and stay out as long as try to find position. Maxi Book, who is now behind the wheel of the Bentley 84, has just set fastest sector time in sector 3, as he's now gone on to his first flying lap. Again, no doubt there's been a brand new set of boots ready for that Bentley for Maxi Book to take over.
So riding on board there with Nicky Katzberg, taking over from Albert von Thun and Taxis. The car was down in penultimate place, 17th place when he took it over, but you have the feeling that Nicky Katzberg will make progress, the young Dutchman. 77 still leading the race. The Belgian driver Maxime Martin, 4.378 seconds clear, so a better lap that time around for Christopher Mies. But 3/10 of a second.
Yeah, but Mies picked up 3/10 of a second on that last lap. That may have been traffic around the racetrack, because now as cars are coming in and going out, you're getting cars that are on out laps. Of course, Maxime Martin on a race lap. They're all race laps in reality, but there we see the car being prepared, and BMW may be coming in.
Well,
at the end of this lap. This will be in at the end of lap 20.
So just remember the figure, 4.378 seconds last time around. And as at Nogaro, it's a last second pull into the pits. They have to negotiate turn 14. You think, they're starting another lap, and then they swing it at the last second.
But the key is to ensure that you do not go across the white demarcation line at the pit lane entrance. It's happened in the past. We've seen drivers being penalised for doing that, just trying that a little bit too hard. So he's on his way.
Watch him coming in through turn 14, just gets it. That's super tight.
I mean, there's not any margin there between the right side of the BMW and that white line where it starts. It is quite a tight cut back to get the car in at the speed.
And as Maxime Martin brings it, race leading BMW in the GT4 support race, one of the drivers actually clipped the end of the pit wall as he came in his chase to not lose a fraction of a second. So out goes Maxime Martin. His work is done. Dirk Muller, what a great driver to have as the second driver in that car. The lead was 4.4 seconds, or as near as, at pit stop time. This team will work it very well. Antonio Herman at the helm, but Maxi Book up to 9th place at the moment. He's got in. He had purple sectors on his outlap, purple sectors on his second flying lap. 1 minute 27. Let's see where the BMW rejoins at the circuit. Martin in the pits. Out of the pits.
He's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. So he gets through the pit lane exit, out onto the exit effectively of turn 1. There's the Audi now just entering into turn 1.
Stefan Ortelli, number 3 race winner yesterday. The chase is on.
Yeah, the gap is going to be minimally, I think it's probably marginally extended, because Stefan Ortelli, who was in effect taking over 3rd place car, was that little bit further behind. But Ortelli's first flying lap, we wait to see what that's going to turn out. It looks like it could have been a 27.6, which is a pretty good out lap, and that's against Maxime Martin. Well, his time was actually, his best lap was 27.3. So best time for Ortelli, first flying lap, only 3/10 of a second slower than the best lap overall from Maxime Martin.
Well, pink sectors also for Winkelhock down in 12th place. He didn't get much of a race yesterday. He caused the trouble at turn 2 on the opening lap, but he's really flying for Phoenix Racing. Craig Dolby, right in the action there in the Nissan. Christopher Mies, though, continuing, still has a few more minutes to make that call to the pits before handing over the number 2 Audi to Enzo Eid. His gap is 12.2 seconds ahead of the driver there.
Yes.
Bernd Schneider staying out. We knew he'd stay to the end of the pit window.
Audi have played, in a sense, the right hand. They've brought in the Raquel Nicar, got Ortelli into it. but they're keeping Christopher Mies out to the last possible moment before they put Enzo Ede in. So that just indicates when you've got more than one car in your lineup. I've got 4 here this weekend, but one of them, of course, didn't take the start because of the damage in the qualifying session on Sunday. So Enzo Ede standing there waiting to take over the car.
Looks very casual, doesn't he, as he strolls down the pit lane? But the team's in place.
He's become a lot more comfortable now. He's had a number of seasons in GT racing. Still a very young man, but he's a lot more comfortable, and he will take over this car from present race leader Christopher Mies, who's done a strong job once he got past the sister car of Raikkonen.
Well, no great surprise, but Stefan Ortelli is really winding up the wick on number 3 Audi. He just set a fastest sector of all, the third sector, on his first flying lap out of the pits, 1 minute 27.410. Very, very quick lap. It's almost spinning at a...
Well,
that was the number 2 Audi coming in. Christopher Mies nearly blotting his copybook.
He certainly got the back end of the car facing the wrong direction. There we see the Mercedes also coming in eventually.
That's Schneider, rather more orthodox entry to the pit lane there.
Yes, and that could so easily have been an Audi spinning in the pit lane, of course, going through the speed limit, 50 kilometers per hour. In the pit lane for every car, and that seems interminably long from the minute you get into the pit lane. Dirk Müller now takes over the wheel of the BMW, and that car in effect is still the lead car, although we now will wait and see what happens as the final cars are made at the pit window.
The last car
about to close in a minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah, it was the 54 McLaren was the last one in. Philippe Vlasic had risen right up to 3rd place by not coming in when the others did, but what we see on our timing screen, well, they're rather pleased with themselves down at the number 2 Audi crew, but that was a scary moment as Christopher Mies, not scary in terms of anything bad happening, other than the fact he could have lost a lot of time by rotating, and that would have affected Bernd Schneider, who was coming in behind, if he found an Audi broadside on. But the pit window is still open, but everybody has made their visit now. So, leading the race, Enzo Ede in the 2 Audi. So that high-speed entry to the pits was worth it. Came out ahead. They were 4.4 seconds down. So that's... Well, we didn't put a stopwatch into those pit stops. Neither of them seemed to have any trouble, but clearly that's why there was so much applause down at the Audi end of the pit lane.
Because they did a great job.
We couldn't see it against the clock. They knew, though. They sensed, and that was enough.
Well, there is a pass that we didn't anticipate, and it came in the pit lane rather than on the racetrack. So it is the number 2 Audi of Enzo Ede now ahead of Dirk Müller, and it's sort of a rule reversal from what we saw in the qualifying race, where it was the BMW being chasing the lead Audi and there is Christopher Mies, who's done a strong job.
Well, so yesterday we had the number 3 Audi being chased down by the 77 BMW. Today it's the number 2 Audi. Running well at the moment. 75 is Philippe Salicada in one of the other Audis, but that's one of the duo from ISR Racing. He's right on the tail of Rodrigo Sperrafico in the 2nd of the BMW Brazil entries.
So you wonder whether Sperrafico is going to be able to hold off Philippe Salicada in the Audi probably being, with the combination of driver and car, the quicker of the two. So the Sperraficos are having to think about which place of the racetrack we want to make our car very wide and make it difficult for the Audi to find a way through.
Well, I'd love to see those 2 pit stops with the 77 and 2 entries and just analyse how the Audi crew found so much time. But time they found, 4.5 seconds they were behind before the pit stop. Maybe a really fantastic lap by Mies before coming in, but Martin wasn't the sort of driver who'd back off on his in-lap, so
no, I would say
it must be down to the pit crew.
I would say that was just simply down to an extremely rapid pit stop, and you're getting whatever the sequence of wheels off, wheels on, driver in, strapped and go. I mean, that was a massive gain. I mean, the difference in pit stop time must have been in excess of certainly 5 seconds.
So Enzo Ede leading the way for Team WRT. There's Maxime Martin walking back over to the BMW garage, BMW Brazil garage. So maybe the slight problem with the car. I've just been told that something just flapped off one of the cars there, that Maxime Martin came over to the camera, shook his head when looking at something, has walked back across the pit lane. I just looked up and saw him walking back across. Was he concerned by the pit stop? But you wouldn't shake your head. That you'd sort of kick something on the ground, perhaps. But
maybe it was a pit stop. Maybe there was something on the opening lap we didn't pick up that Dirk Müller lost time. But I mean, for the Audi to be physically ahead, now it's actually closed right back up to the tail of Enzo Ede, and you would imagine Maxime looks a lot happier there, thumbs up. So whatever the problem was, looks like it's back in control. And Dirk Muller closing down very rapidly indeed on the gearbox.
Flash, flash, flash go the lights on the 77 BMW as he tries to put off, in the nicest way possible, Enzo Ede down into turn 7. But so the gap has closed right back, but it was a 6.5 second swing. Something went wrong. No doubt we'll find out after the race why there was a problem, if there was a problem.
There certainly was something that allowed the Audi to get the advantage over the pit stops, but now Dirk Muller has got the pace back into the BMW, and he's at a position, well, he's literally a second behind the Audi coming through turn 12. Into turn 12 and then out onto the old pit start finish straight and up into 13. So the BMW in a lap 0.3 of a second quicker the last lap. It looked more than that, and again slightly quicker to turns 13 and 14, but not sufficient to get a run up into turn 1. Put himself into position to try and dive down the inside into turn 2.
More head shaking there from Maxime Martin, so obviously his mood is swinging all over the place, but I just want to point out a little role being played by the chaser, number 3, Stefan Ortelli.
26.9 in the last lap.
3.2 seconds down, and closing. These two will hold each other up, there's no doubts about that. Enzo Ede and Dirk Muller, and behind them Ortelli. He's a wily fox, and he's a quick fox too, so he will be closing.
He will be closing. He is closing as we speak. And Enzo Ede doing a good job running 1 minute 27s, but that's not going to be quick enough because his teammate in Stefan Ortelli is running just almost 0.7 of a second quicker on that last lap. And the gap between first and the lead is 3.5 seconds, but 3.2 seconds between third and second.
What we're seeing again today is how good the BMW is on turning into turn 7, and you can always see the Audis jiggling around in the track. We saw it yesterday. Richelme, he did a fantastic job, but it's much harder to get through the corner. Much more nervous car, the Audi R8. And Antonio Herman, the team boss, hand on chin, he's trying to analyse what they can do, but it looked as though the race was very much theirs to lose, and it looks as though it all happened in the pit lane.
Don't know why, we will find out, no doubt, but in the meantime it'll be frustrating for Dirk Muller because the pace of the Audi is sufficiently good that it's not really throwing up any opportunities, so he can't afford now to drop back and then regather his momentum and have a run up to the back of the Audi, because he's got Stefan Ortelli now just 2 seconds behind. There's the Audi coming in now. We didn't see it the previous lap. It's almost taken the best part of a second out of the gap between these leading two cars.
Yeah, just half a second now. Also worth watching is Maxi Buch, who's going very well, faster than this lead Gio, in 4th place in the number 84 Bentley, and Norbert Siedler faster than everybody but Ortelli in the 5th place Ferrari. That was a car that came right up the order in the final few laps yesterday, as all sorts of things happened, but today a really great run. Started in 4th place, got demoted on the opening lap by Schneider, now in 5th.
There's going to be a little bit of a problem coming very shortly for these lead two cars. Traffic, and that's always the issue, that you've got to manage the traffic. You've got to use that traffic to your advantage and use it to the disadvantage of the 2nd place car here, in which case it's Dirk Muller.
But this traffic will more than likely delay this lead duo, and all along they're being caught by Stefan Ortelli in 3rd place. This could bring them up to get 3 close together. I like to have the dream scenario.
Right. For me, this is where experience and racecraft comes into play. Enzo Ede needs to use the pace of his car, and he may well back down a little bit to give himself the chance to get past the McLaren at a part of the circuit where he's got an advantage. And in the meantime, look who's coming behind. It's almost like the ghost of the past.
And look who's in the front. It's Yoshiharu Mori, who's certainly way short of experience. Has he stayed far enough wide for them to get past him down in the opening? Up goes the move. Grab the moment when it comes. Delight on the McLaren, the BMW pit wall, and Dirk Muller, one chance, grabbed it with both hands.
Yes, and that was just a little bit of apprehension from Enzo Ede when he saw the McLaren. Where am I going to get past this car? But Dirk Muller took the opportunity and forced the situation, got up the inside of the leading Audi, and then was in position in the apex of turn 1 to then take control of the race, take the lead, put the BMW back where it has been pretty much up, well, it was until the round of pit stops. And again, we've seen now the second of the two Audis. Now, will Ortelli get the same bye that we saw earlier in the race when Christopher
It's coming, it's happened.
Getting the bye, yes, he's been given the nod.
Okay, so Ede's done a great job there, but in the space of a lap, he's lost 2 positions in the space of half a lap. The first one was down to a brilliant move, but he must have, drawing breath and then just going, oh no, here we go. I was first a few moments ago, now I appear to be invited back to third place, but still a place on the podium they achieved yesterday. They look as though they'll do the same again today.
This is not mate-type racing. These are professional teams out racing for the best result they can get, and right now the best result Audi can have is to let Stefano Telli take second place and have a go at trying to run down, as we look back down the end of the straight, as the Sperrificus and the Audi number 75 of Felipe Salaquada looks like another pass.
Okay, when the cars get to the start-finish line, we'll look at the gap between...
Stippler up the inside as well. Frank Stippler gets
happening.
past, so Sperrificus lose 2 places in the pace of 3 corners.
Right. The first time over the start-finish line with Dirk Muller leading, 1.18 seconds clear of Stefan Ortelli. How big will the gap be next time around? Ortelli, he won yesterday, every chance he can win today, but it was so close between 3 and 77 yesterday. 3 finished first, 77 second. Today it's the other way around.
Yeah, and the gap between the lead car and second place car, 1.1 seconds on that last lap. The Audi of number 2 or number 3 Ortelli, I should say, only 0.4 of a second quicker than the BMW. They've sort of now found their natural pace. Now, whether Ortelli can ebb any more of that advantage, that 1.1 second advantage, it's going to get more difficult the closer he gets, because he's going to come into the air from the BMW. The Audi won't likely have sufficient pace at this point to just simply drive up alongside and pass. It's going to take, again, maybe a little bit of traffic coming into play and getting maybe Dirk Muller slightly wrong-footed, as we saw Enzo Weed some lap or 2 laps ago.
Well, just looking at the first 2 sector times around this lap, and a little bit was gained, 1/10 of a second by Muller in section 1, and then it was handed back to Ortelli in the second sector. So it should be about the same, 1.18 seconds or thereabouts, as they complete this lap, just going through the final sequence of corners onto the start-finish straight for the 29th time. Goes Dirk Muller. What was the gap? 1.1. What is it? 1.1. Nothing gained.
There we can see the replay. I mean, opportunistic pass by Dirk Muller, as Enzo Weed's focus was all ahead of him. The McLaren, he was worried about where the McLaren was going to be.
He hesitated.
He hesitated. He forgot that Dirk Muller was going to seek the advantage. And once he got the nose almost alongside the Audi, well, Enzo Weed had to do the right thing and back out, because he was only ever going to be the one that would lose out in that situation.
100%, John. So 1.1 seconds it was on the last 2 laps over the start-finish line. What can Stefan Ortelli do? There seems to be good, clear track ahead of them. 77 actually seems to be pulling out very slightly. Oh, the 54 McLaren, that was the one that was just passed down at turn 1 a couple of laps ago. So that's Yoshiharu Mori gone for a little spin in one of the 2 Hello Kitty McLarens. That's running in the AM class, though, and the sister car with Kevin Estre now at the wheel is only running in a 15th place in the sister car. So really something has gone wrong with the 55 McLaren. Rob Bell made it fly yesterday, so did Kevin Estre. With body damage today, they're struggling.
It's very strange. The car certainly was a quick car in the qualifying race. Struggling here this afternoon. There may be issues again that we're not aware of at this point. And we look down through the field as we see what still is the leading Pro-Am, which is in 6th place.
Yeah, really losing out in the sort of shake-up. You'd always expect Maxi Buch, once he got into the 84 Bentley, to move past. There is, just behind the yellow
Stippler
car, is hitting Salakada in the 75 car, and then Stippler pushing him very, very hard indeed. And in turn, Markus Winkelhock in the 3 different colours of Audi in the space of about 20 metres there. 75 is Salakada. Marco Bononomi started that car. Stippler has taken over the number 4 Audi from James Nash, and Markus Winkelhock has taken over the number 6 from Nicky Meyer-Meinhof. Came up from the very back row of the grid, so good run there for the Phoenix Racing
absolutely
entry,
a strong
as
run,
you would expect.
As you would expect, but particularly with Markus Winkelhock behind the wheel, that's going to be a quick car. But of course, you've got these 3 Audis all battling for positions, 7th, 8th and 9th, and what you do want to do is suddenly find that all 3 Audis are causing each other significant problems, but the Mercedes is clearly holding up this Group 3.
Alexei Karachev holding them off, and perhaps has been something a little bit robust from 75, which is Philippe Salakada, because the 75 car Audi has been shown a warning flag. We'll keep an eye on the big screens to see what exactly they may have done, or whether it comes to any other ramifications.
I think there may have been a moment down at the end of the straight, turn 7. We don't know whether that was the McLaren. We saw that the 74 McLaren, or coming back on track down at turn 7, so that might have had something to do with the reason.
The 3rd of those Audis, Markus Winkelhock, is the fastest as they go onto the straight. Certainly was trying to gain a place as they came down towards the end of it. Going up the inside, is there going to be contact? Oh, Frank Stippler very, very close indeed to Philippe Salakada. And Markus Winkelhock, I think, really fancies his chances. But you don't always know where Karachev is going to put that enormous yellow Mercedes. That could be a huge factor.
No, and I mean, that was as close as it gets. Stippler took a big punt down the inside to try and find a way past, and Salaquada shut the door. Marcus Winkelhock sitting back thinking, well, I was going to take advantage of that going one side. Well, suddenly when I made my move, that gap was there, suddenly wasn't there.
Gap between first and second between Dirk Muller and Stefan Ortelli has edged the way of Stefan Ortelli, but it's just over a second. But it's taken him 3 laps to gain 1/10 of a second, so that's not the sort of drive we thought we might have seen. We knew it was going to be close, but it's so even, there's nothing you can do about it, nothing you can call there at the moment.
So the Mercedes still holds off this group of 3 Audis. Philippe Salaquada not able to make a move. Frank Stippler, normally the most conservative and gentlemanly of all drivers, looking very racy indeed. Marcus Winkelhock thinking about a slip down the inside into turn 4, but there wasn't room in reality. But he still showed the nose just to keep Frank Stippler honest, to say, look, I'm on your gearbox, Frank. You blink and I'm going to take that position away.
Yeah, right onto their tails. We now have Rodrigo Sparafico in the 0 car, but just BMW. But going onto the back straight, who's a better exit that time by Frank Stippler. Last time down, Winkelhock was faster as they came past us. You could see him closing this time, even though he's in a sort of treble slipstream. Winkelhock can't gain, and so he stays at the back of that 3-car tussle. It's a 5-car tussle really, but 3 Audi tussle for 6th place. But Karachev holding on, earning his spurs in that bright yellow Mercedes at the front of that group.
Yeah, I mean, it's all fair and square in a race. He's not doing anything aggressive. He's not blocking on the straights. He's just maintaining his lap time, and he's doing so running at 1 minute 28 zeros, 27.9s, 27.3 in fact for Stippler on that last lap, 27.2 for Winkelhock. So Winkelhock is the quickest of the 3 Audis, but he's got the biggest challenge to get past his 2 sister cars, as well as to try and find a way past the Mercedes. So Karachev doing, I would say, a solid job for the Mercedes team.
Certainly is, leading very easily in the Pro-Am class. Christophe Bouchou has just moved up to 11th place overall, 5 places back in the 71 sister car, also in the Pro-Am Cup. That's the red, white and blue Russian liveried Mercedes, but he's not in this battle. He's yet to, let's see, he's about 13 seconds down on the sister car, and there's the sister car, the bright yellow SLS, leading that group for 6th place, and it's a big car to pass, and he's certainly not making it easy at all for those behind.
Stippler working really, really hard on the number 4 Audi to find a way to get a better acceleration off turn 5, to get the run down this main straight, to get into position to try and slot down the inside. Salaquada will no doubt defend that. He's aware of what's going on. But again, you can see the pace of all these 3 Audis is so close that no one, even in the slipstream, gaining any benefit. And they're not getting any benefit either from being behind the much physically larger Mercedes on the straight.
Well, the gap between first and second, Dirk Muller in the 77 BMW and Stefan Ortelli in the number 3 Audi, had gone beneath a second, but it's back out just over again. It's a 20th of a second gained here, a 20th of a second lost there. 3.4 seconds further back, Enzo is starting to just drop away very slightly from that group, but he's got a lead of almost 11 seconds over Maxi Buch. It looks as though that's as high, with 10 minutes remaining in this race, as Bentley can manage. But coming into this meeting, John, the Bentley crews were saying to you, this is not our sort of circuit.
And in fairness, the Bentley started in 8th place, and the race hadn't started maybe a couple of grids further up, we would have seen an entirely different performance in terms of expectation and results. What's happened here? We've got through. Salaquada's got through now. Stippler goes a long way around the outside.
This is the chance for Winkelhock to go up the inside.
No, he's not. There's no room to do that. No, I mean, that was a brave move of Stippler to go around the outside, because the Mercedes was always going to be climbing up the racetrack, pushing the Audi further. And now it's down to Marcus Winkelhock, who probably didn't realise quite what was about to happen, and he's now found himself sort of left as his twin siblings pull away. He's now going to go and do something pretty dramatic, creative, to get past the Mercedes.
So looking at the lead of the race as that battle goes on, there's the remaining, well, one of the 2 remaining McLarens, the 2 that started the race, and that's the 54, the Pro-Am entry, running in last place and pulls out of the way at turn 7. Thank you very much. And that grouping goes through. Oh, number Frade, oh dear, twice in the wars goes Maury. He held up, had a little spin after he settled the lead battle. Now he's gone for a rotation, so I'm afraid one of the Hello Kitty cars has gone goodbye.
Into the kitty litter. So Marcus Winkelhock probably spitting everything he can into his balaclava helmet. with frustration, saying, why did I not make a bit more of an effort to get through there as the McLaren last year? Now that might have been the reason why the car suddenly just went out of control on the exit of turn 8.
Well, it could be, but he was also in so much traffic with so many people coming through, he could have gone offline. But what we see there is Karachev holding on at the moment. Now he's down in 8th place, 2 places lost in the lap. Let's see, we can't see if there's a puncture here. Pushed wide by Salakada going through.
That might have been contact, yes.
Yes.
That's the contact. So Stippler caught the back of the 54 McLaren, so that's the reason. And that's why the tyre also went down, because the front splitter on these cars is like as sharp as you can get. I mean, it is there to deflect the air over and under the car. So still Markus Winkelhock struggling, and he's also got now the attention of the Sperifeco BMW behind. Not that that is going to be a serious threat to the Audi, but look at the gap that these two cars have pulled in the space of 2 laps since they've gotten ahead of Karachev's Mercedes.
Yeah, you said how Winkelhock will be spitting feathers inside his balaclava. He certainly will, because just any time he's made the move. Karachev let him through to an extent, but he put himself where Karachev had to make that decision. Now he can go after him, and he was the fastest of that trio of Audis before all that sorting out. And now it's the turn of Rodrigo Sperifeco to be caught behind the big yellow Mercedes.
Yes, but with 7 minutes and so remaining, it's all basically all that Markus Winkelhock can do is now simply consolidate. He's up into 8th place. Salakado in 6th, Stippler in 7th are pretty much set where they are. And it's still Dirk Muller with that 1.2 second. We talk about 1.1 seconds. It's a 10th of a second increase over the second place Stefano Telli. So we're pretty much seeing, as we come into the remaining moments of this race, that it's going to be a victory for the BMW. And I don't want to put the commentator's curse on it either.
Oh, too late, John. The cat's out of the bag. So Dirk Muller leading the way. 1.2 seconds last time around. In fact, he's easing clear. Now he's gained another 10th and a bit going down the back straight and through turn 7, turn 8. But it's still visually incredibly close between 77, 6.5 minutes remaining until the checkered flag will come out. Will we have an Audi victory in the qualifying race, folled by a BMW victory here on Easter Monday at Nogaro? Both drivers driving beautifully at the front. Stefano Telli, winner yesterday in Audi number 3, giving chase. Both he and Dirk Muller using all the curbs, as they do, but all the curbs, but not more than the curbs at turn 14. 2 drivers right at the top of their game, starting this season with a bang.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great drive from both Dirk Muller leading the race and Stefano Telli in the pursuit of the Audi. And he's literally taking hundreds of seconds here and there every lap. And he's desperate with, 5 minutes and so of the race remaining to get into a position, but the likelihood of doing so, and again just coming out of turn 6, small little mistake, and that just costs you all those tenths of seconds you've saved. They're all gone as you bump over the curb.
Yep, and he just in fact pulled back 0.2 of a second on the last part of the previous lap, immediately tossed it away over the curbs. So running down the order, it's Dirk Muller leading for the 77 BMWs. Stefano Telli is second in the number 3 Audi. Enzo Id 4 seconds back now from Ortelli in the number 2 Audi. In 3rd place, Maxi Boot, nothing he can do about those ahead. In the 84 Bentley, and Norbert Siedler running 5th, as he has since the opening lap. That car has been 5th pretty much all race, and so the lone Ferrari in 5th place, 6.5 seconds down on Maxi Boot. 7th place, Philippe Salakada, just seeing if Winkelhock will close in on those ahead of him, but he's lapping pretty much the same pace. So Salakada, Stippler and Winkelhock, numbers 75, 40 and 6, the 3 Audis filling 6th to 8th places. Stefano Telli though in number 3, hunting down. He's not a second behind, he's 0.999 of a second down on race leader Dirk Muller as they go around their tight moment there down at turn 7 with Rodrigo Sperifeco having to jink around the number 71 at Mercedes with Christophe Bouchou on board. In fact, because Bouchou dived down the inside of him, of course he was catching him earlier, and now he's made the move stick. Christophe Bouchou making it 2 Mercedes in a row, 9th and 10th positions. Karachev in 9th and Bouchou charging French racer. Le Mans winner, of course, with Peugeot, takes that 10th place. We have the number 54 McLaren in the pits. Of course, we saw the puncture caused there for Yoshiharu Mori, the contact with Frank Stippler's Audi down at turn 8, but he will rejoin, I'm sure, fairly shortly, and all 18 runners that started the race will still be in the race. So Christophe Bouchou gained that position last time around. The clock is really ticking down the gap between first and second, still just 1/1000th of a second, under 1 second. There you can see it, the gap between first and second between Dirk Muller in the BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil Z4 and Stefan Ortelli doing his utmost. Going right to the edge of the circuit there was Muller through on the turn into turn 13, and really working the car as they come over the curbs to start lap 38. The gap 1.024, so all he gained was 25/1000ths of a second on that lap. Clock is counting against Ortelli. He won't want to take any risks, but he's got to get closer than this if he's going to be able to get into the slipstream to try and make a move as they go down the back straight and then turn into turn 7. That does seem the most likely overtaking position. Looking to see if there's any traffic ahead of them out on the circuit. That could be another thing that might change the order. Of course, when they came across the 54 McLaren, the 77 Audi was not in the lead of the race, but Dirk Muller absolutely grabbed the moment and slipped by to take the lead. He's still in the lead, 0.791 of a second in the lead. There's not much. Ortelli's catching. He's catching 2.5 minutes remaining until the checkered flag will be thrown. BMW still handling very, very well. That has been its key here at Nogaro. Lots of twists at both ends of the lap and straighter sections in between, but the Audi has been the twitchy one. The BMW Z4 has been the car that looks most planted here at the circuit Paul Armagnac. And Maxime Martin did a great job at the start of the race, and Dirk Muller is continuing it, but he has a lot of pressure on him as he comes out of turn 12, goes down to the final couple of corners, just under 2 minutes towards the end of the race. And I'd say that Ortelli has closed about 0.4 of a second around this lap. He took 2/10 out of the first sector of the lap. It's down to about 0.485, so he's gained even more through the final sector of the lap. 1 minute 43 remaining in this race. They go on to lap 40, so little in it. But what can Ortelli do? There isn't the traffic in front to interrupt them. Antonio Herman, boss of BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil, you can see the body language, the nerves are starting to really play up for him out there on the pit wall. But the driver who no doubt is far calmer is the driver in the lead of the race, Dirk Muller. He's raced so many times against Stefan Ortelli in their career, but now he's really going to have to fight his corner. I think he's got enough of an advantage down the back straight. In fact, he gained nearly 2/10 of a second through the twisty first part of the lap, where the BMW's handling is so critical. Such an advantage through those twists in the early part of the lap. Coming through turn 8 there, 9 and 10, and doesn't look as though Ortelli's gained. In fact, he's lost a little bit more, I'd say, down the end of the back straight. Ortelli still the hunter. Dirk Muller still the hunted, but I think he's got enough in the bag, unless there's a really, really bold move that comes almost from nowhere from Stefan Ortelli in the number 3 Audi. He won yesterday with teammate Stefan Richelmy, his fellow Monegasque racer. He'll be on the podium today, barring disasters, but will he be the top step or the second step? 27 seconds on the clock as they go through turns 13. Now they'll turn left into 14 over the curbs. They go over 14, across the start-finish line. 0.485 of a second last time, 0.512, nothing gained, fraction lost. Ortelli giving a hint as they start the final lap that he'd quite like to have a look on the inside at turn 1, but it's all gamesmanship. He's now got to try and find an advantage from somewhere, but I think this is in the bag for Dirk Muller, as long as he doesn't make a mistake. Oh, he's a bit further away from the apex at turn 4 than turn 3 than is normal. He's really, really pushing around this, the final lap. Again, slightly wide, but perhaps that's the better line for a cleaner exit out of turn 5. Wants to get the power down to go through the right-hander at turn 6 onto the back straight to make sure the gap is as big as possible and there's no slipstream, but he's got enough in the bag. It's about 6-8 car lengths perhaps as they go down the straight. It looks less in this shot. It's a foreshortening shot right down, a long shot down the back straight. Turn 7, that's the key. That was the likely passing space. A bit of a washing wide of the front of the BMW, held beautifully by Dirk Muller. Good line there from Stefan Ortelli, but he's running out of corners. It's a 14 corner lap. They've just gone through turn 9. Now they're going through turn 10. There's the double right that turns 11 and 12 as Maxime Martin goes up on the pit wall with team boss Antonio Herman. Have they picked up their first victory of 2015? Let's see. We're going through the final sequence of corners. That's turn 11, that's turn 12, round the end of the old pit lane, over the curbs as is their wont. Where can Ortelli find the mark? He's down to 2 car lengths behind again. Dirk Muller clips the little marker post. He's got through turn 13. There are only 14 turns on this corner, on this lap. He's gone over the curbs. He's held it beautifully. He takes the victory, the first feature race victory of the 2015 Blancpain Sprint Series. Huge elation there. Brazilian flags waving on the pit wall. What a chase by Stefan Ortelli. Didn't quite make it stick. I'm sure he's waving out of his window at Dirk Muller. Two top drivers respecting each other. Huge amount of cheering on the pit wall. Enzo Ide makes it third for the number 2 Audi. Maxi Boot comes fourth for Bentley. Fifth place goes to Norbert Siedler in the 333 Ferrari. I can almost hear the cheering through the windows of my commentary box. Great elation down there from BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil. Victory here at Nogaro. Still, such was the pace of the top 5 cars. We're just waiting to see who are now classified in 6th place. Will be Frank Stippler, just going across the line now. 23 seconds down on Norbert Siedler's Ferrari. Philippe Salicada chases him home, so Stippler did a great job in the closing laps. Markus Winkelhock makes it another Ferrari. That's 5 Audis in the top 8. Christophe Bouchou got past teammate Alexei Karachev to take 9th and be the top Pro-Am finisher. And Karachev was also demoted right at the end by Rodrigo Sperafico. So the second BMW Team Brazil car coming home in 10th place. Alexei Karachev being pushed back to 11th overall. And then the top Silver Cup finisher, the Fjordbrack brothers, finishing in 12th. What a great race. Fabulous hunt there, Stefan Ortelli chasing so hard after Dirk Muller. I think they'll have a glow on their faces when they make it back. But a fabulous way to start the season. Blazing sunshine here, quite a coolish breeze at Nogaro. Great crowds watching what looks as though it's going to be a classic year of GT racing. And next weekend, 60 cars will be going out racing in the opening round of the Blancpain Endurance Series at Monza. The next Sprint Series round is on the 9th and 10th of May at Brands Hatch. But at the moment, honours shared, honours even between Audi, yesterday's winner, and today's winner, BMW. But with the 25 points for victory today, Maxime Martin and Dirk Muller go top of the charts. They now have 31 points on the board, and yesterday's winners have 26, Stefan Richelmy and Stefan Ortelli. They will be second in the championship, heading to Brands Hatch at the start of May. But let's look right now just to today's performance. A great race, Audi and BMW duking it out at the front. An advantage on this Monday afternoon, Easter Monday at Nogaro, going to BMW. Cars coming back, drivers no doubt quite exhausted. An hour of racing, but it was super fierce. And Nogaro, a track that doesn't give drivers much of a chance to relax. Yes, perhaps down the back straight, but they're always looking to see who's trying to slipstream them or who they in turn are trying to slipstream. And the crowd here at Nogaro, a very educated motor racing crowd, showing their respect and applause for the drivers as the cars come back round. And there is the race-winning BMW Z4, number 77, leading the field back into the pit lane and therefore into Parc Fermé. And the appreciation clear for all to see. Fastest lap of the race, just looking to see who set that. Well, it's Stefan Ortelli, the only driver to get into the 1 minute 26s. He did his best, but it wasn't quite enough. And Maxime Martin, thumbs up for teammate Dirk Muller, will haul him out of the car. No, he gives him enough respect and lets him out. Big hug, immense amount of happiness. So, job very, very well done. I can see Antonio Herman taking us a gentle walk down the pit lane to go and greet his heroes, but just what the championship need is. 9 marks of car came here to go racing, and John Watson is down. He's grabbed Marcel Martin. Let's hear from the winning duo.
Maxime, hold on, no. Dirk, come here quick. Congratulations, Dirk. Fantastic drive. How did you pass in the end? Big battle with the Audis.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I mean, thank you. First of all,
Antonio Herman,
I told you yesterday.
First win for Brazil. Everybody's going nuts. Brazil nuts!
Brazil! Good.
Maxime, a great start of the race, but after the pit stops, what went wrong in the pit stops? We didn't see what happened.
Yeah, we had a little issue with the ignition to start the car. So we had an issue, we lost some time, but I did a really good start and did finish the race fantastically. So happy for Brazil.
Are you going to be back with this team in the future?
I hope, we will see.
I'll tell you what, you're a strong team, that's for sure.
Well, John had to work his corner down there to grab the crew. You can see how much it means to this team. First win First blood here at Nogaro, first round of 2015. What a drive. So it was an ignition problem that cost them the lead, but Dirk Muller did a great job to get it back in front, and there they stayed, but not for want of trying.
For your fans, for Brazil, can you say something in Portuguese?
Ok.
Please.
Estamos muito contentes.
Come on, mean some more, a few more words, Antonio. Come on. How fantastic is this for the team? You worked so hard to get this victory. Now it's come. What does it feel like?
After
in Portuguese, in Portuguese.
Depois de 3 anos, nós ganhamos.
The emotion is just unbelievable. Congratulations.
Well, that showed how much it meant to Antonio Herman. Momentarily choked there. And what a great race it was to start the championship here at Nogaro. And Stefano Ortelli, a victor yesterday, being congratulated in great sporting fashion. Down to John in the pit lane.
Okay, got the two Stefan Rakelny, Stefano Ortelli. Okay, Stefan, what a great chase it was in the end.
Yeah, I think it's a great track for both cars. I really had a big fight with Dirk, but obviously everybody could see that they learned a lot from yesterday and they were just a bit stronger in the beginning of my stint. I could catch at the end, but a few laps more, maybe another story, but I'm still happy for the points, and congratulations for Dirk and Max. They just did a brilliant job, and they were just stronger than us. That's it, and we are happy for all the points we gained today, and especially with Steph. You know, he's a newcomer in the championship for a full season, and both first races on the podium. Great, Steph.
Thanks. Stefan, you had a great start, but just the power and the speed of Maxime Martin was difficult to resist, wasn't it?
Yeah, I still have something to learn, you know. The start was good, and then in the airplane I left him a bit too much space, and he just jumped, he pushed me a bit, but it's the game here in GT. For me, in single seater, you cannot do this, but for sure I still have to learn. But as said Stefan, it's a really good way to start championship, and we'll be stronger next time.
Well, you've learned a lot this weekend. How much, in fact, have you learned?
I learned a lot to stay in front, to win the race, and to make a start. I mean, each weekend I will be stronger, I hope. And this weekend, for sure, it's a really good one in terms of points, but it's not finished.
Good job, gentlemen. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you, John.
Good to hear how polite Stefano Ortelli is. Thank you, John, he said as he left John Watson down in Parc Fermé. Here's the finishing order. Number 77 BMW, Dirk Muller and Maxime Martin taking victory by 0.368 of a second from the Audi, the chasing Audi of Stefan Richelmy and Stefano Ortelli, winners of the qualifying race yesterday. The second of the Audis, Christopher Mies and Enzo Ide, ending up in third place. Bentley in fourth, Vincent Abril and Maxi Buch. Marco Siegfried and Norbert Siedler fifth for Ferrari. James Nash, Frank Stippler sixth in another Audi. Then another one in seventh place, Marco Bononomi and Philippe Salicada. And a further one in Nicky Meyer, Meinhof and Marcus Winkelhock in eighth place. And there we have all but one of the cars that went out racing finished. The number 54 McLaren didn't make it to the finish after the collision and the spin and the tyre deflation. But a great way to start the championship here at Nogaro. And at the moment it's advantage to BMW Sports Trophy Team Brazil. They take the 25 points for race victory to add to their 6 points for second place yesterday. So Dirk Muller and Maxime Martin leave Nogaro this evening on 31 points. Stefan Ortelli and Stefan Richelmy on 27 points in second place. Enzo Ide and Christopher Mies 19 points in third place. They're already up on the podium. No need to identify the top drivers on the podium. That's Maxime Martin and Dirk Muller bowing to Stefan Ortelli and Stefan Richelmy and joining them to go on to the third step of the podium. Christopher Mies and Enzo Ide. That's Enzo in the spectacles. What a great race. What great weather. What a fabulous start to 2015. Really exciting drive from the outset of this race. 41 laps later as John Watson returns to join me in the booth. That was great racing, John.
Well, I can tell you the emotion down in Parc Fermé. Antonio Herman, absolutely, he couldn't speak even his own language. He was just overwhelmed with, they've worked so hard over the last year and a bit to get this team to a winning position. Okay, it happened to be a European driver pairing that did it, but what a great victory nonetheless.
Well, that lays the foundation, doesn't it, for them to build on for this year. But you have to say that through the national anthem, so I should be quiet. What a wonderful rendition. No Brazilian drivers up there on the podium, but plenty of people singing the national anthem in the team down below.
And, you know, what is wonderful is just the sheer pleasure, joy and emotion of the whole BMW Brazil team to finally get onto the top step of the podium. I mean, the car has been strong all weekend. We knew this driver pairing would be a strong pairing, and they held off the might of the 4-car Audi team, amongst others, here this weekend to take the points, the 25 points for the win in the main race of the day. And I mean, I got swept away with the emotion down in Parc Fermé. 1 minute you had Antonio Hermes, who was so choked he couldn't speak his own language. And I mean, it's been a great weekend for Brazil as well, because Nelson Piquet Jr. won the Formula E in Long Beach on Saturday or Sunday. So it's been just an amazing day altogether for Brazil. And this is live in Brazil as well.
Yeah, and there was their flag in the middle of the top above the podium, with the Belgian flag, of course, for Team WRT on both sides. And on the left of the podium you can see Anders and Thomas Fjordbach just being given their trophies. 12th overall today for ISR Racing, but top in the Silver Cup for the under 25-year-old racers.
So a lot of good racing going on throughout the field in the 3 different categories that are run in conjunction with the main race.
So yeah, as yesterday, there are many things to be presented. First the trophies, and then some local produce to take home, John. Perhaps some foie gras and some Armagnac.
And maybe, yeah, well, there's a lot of products are made down in the southwest of France, one of the gastronomic areas of this nation. And we've been fed royally here in the hospitality at the Nogaro circuit. And some of those drivers are going to be taking a little bit more with them back home tonight.
So, first blood today to BMW. Audi looking very strong. Good to see. There's prize money to follow as well. Big check. Stefan Ortelli, the man who makes this all happen. Stefan, I'm confusing my Stefans. I look at one and mean the other. Stefan Rattel, of course. Stefan Ortelli is now holding the check for 20,000 euros. Stefan Rattel still has a fourth check to give. There it is, 20,000 euros for the Silver Cup winners, the Fjordbach brothers. So Stefan Rattel leaving to stage right. Stefan Ortelli holding his check for second place. 20,000 euros. Not a bad job.
It's a good day's work, but I mean, again, just referring back to what we saw on track, I mean, a sterling battle between 2 groups of drivers, Maxime Martin and Dirk Müller on the one hand, and Stefan Ortelli in the Audi, and he had a job to do, and he went after that. He didn't give Dirk Müller a moment or a second opportunity to think that this was going to be his victory until the checkered flag actually was taken.
And there it was at the end. The gap, 0.368 of a second, shows how close he was. And the last few laps, you wouldn't have seen it. You were sprinting back down there, cutting so wide at turn 13 every lap in the last few laps. Dirk Müller using all the track he could.
Well, I mean, I was watching from Parc Fermé. I could see the last closing laps, and I just wondered, was there going to be sufficient pressure coming from the Audi that might force Dirk Müller into maybe just making a little error under braking, especially down at the end of the main straight into turn 7, where it is such a heavy braking zone, or just catching maybe a little bit of dirt on the outside of a corner and turning the car. So many things can go wrong in those pressure moments.
And such was the pace of the lead Giro that 9 cars finished on the top lap, and just overtaken, lapped right at the end was Rodrigo Esperifico, as Christophe Bouchou came through like a train. He was nowhere when he took over the 71 car from Alexei Vasiliev, but worked his way up to the front. 9th place overall to win the Pro-Am Cup. Maxime Martin, Dirk Müller, just to refresh you, 31 points. 27 points for Ortelli and Richelme in second place. They get the extra point, the bonus point for qualifying on pole position. Audi teammates Ide and Mies also on 19 points. Siegfried and Seidler 13 points to be fourth for Ferrari. Vincent Abril and Maxi Boot, they could have had more, but the problem at the start of yesterday's race, they have 12 points going away in 5th place from Nogaro. And the final points scored there, but in 11th place overall, Ricardo Esperifico and Rodrigo Esperifico, teammates to our winners this afternoon, the team BMW Brazil, which of course Dirk Müller, Maxime Martin. Great job.
And I have to say, with great disappointment, the big losers this weekend were regrettably Lawrence Van Voor and Robbins Freien in the number 1 Audi, which had an incident and damage to the chassis meant it wasn't able to take part any further proceedings. And they must be sitting back and wondering if and or what, if we had been out there, we would have certainly had a chance with a podium, possibly a victory with that driver pairing.
And here's the Pro-Am winners, the top three up on the podium, and on the top step we have Christophe Bouchou with the red colouring on his overalls, and Alexei Vasiliev. On the left of the podium in second place, Bernd Schneider and Alexei Karachev. Just waiting as the hats come off. I think there'll be a national anthem coming. At the start of the race, it was very tight at the front, and Stefan Richelmy held down the lead, but he wasn't to keep it for very long at all. There you're looking forward from Bernd Schneider, who put some great moves in to go past the Ferrari into fourth place on the opening lap. 18 cars, nose to tail. Looking forwards, looking backwards, there was almost contact front and back, but so close, keeping it clean. McLaren right in the mix, but it wasn't the day of Rob Bell. John Watson losing ground today in the McLaren.
Yes, both McLaren seemed to struggle, where yesterday, when certainly the 55 car had a lot of damage to the bodywork, it was competitively driven by Rob Bell and Kevin Estre, but not so here today. There we saw the Porsche early on getting knocked sideways, contact with the Bentley 83 and the car that went on to win the Gentleman's Trophy. But this car was the real, the bête noire, if you like, of the race.
Coming into the position, into pits from pole position, Maxime Martin seemed to have done a fantastic job, but then we didn't know what was happening at the time. It was a slow pit stop. We were told later it was an ignition problem. Maxime Martin so frustrated, in almost sideways there, John.
Christopher Mies came in really quickly, got the back of the Audi stepping out, but it was a great pit stop that got them out ahead. There's the Audi taking the lead from the BMW, and we saw Maxime Martin walk away from the pit wall shaking his head, but inevitably the battle was going to be between the BMW, which did eventually get ahead of the Audi, and then Audi allowed their drivers to switch around, and Stefano Otelli took up the chase of the lead BMW, which he did until the flag fell.
Right the way to the flag. There were three Audis fighting really hard to get past Alexei Karachev, and it got a little bit close contact there with the number 4 with Frank Stippler, and Markus Winkelhock lost out a little bit, and then poor old Yoshiharu Mori got tipped into a spin there. He was pitched out of the race with a puncture, but what was important, there was no change at the front, because that allowed Ortelli to get right onto the tail as Winkelhock was mired in the traffic to chase after Dirk Muller. Muller's BMW lost 7 seconds or so around the pit stops. He made his way back to the front, but then the battling down the order was just fierce and furious. This is a great circuit for it, John.
It's a good racetrack. It's a great circuit for this level of racing, and GT3 Racing Blancpain Sprint Series really has been fantastic.
We were looking to see if there was a place where Ortelli could find a way past Dirk Muller, but he certainly couldn't. That was the finish, 1/3 of a second. An outbreak of euphoria. BMW Sports Trophy, Team Brazil, hats off to you, gentlemen, on your first win.